Great to have you with us, everybody. Welcome to the Jim Masters Show Live. We hope you are doing well. We see lots of comments already here, and that is great when we get a chance to have comments before we even say anything other than saying hello and welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you here. Hope you guys are doing well wherever you are around the world. This is the Jim Masters Show Live. It's an entertainment lifestyle talk show series that we created 10 weeks ago as of this week. That is right. And a lot of you know professionally, I'm a television radio host and journalist, actor, voiceover artist, stage MC, and writer and producer. And for a long time, a lot of my colleagues and friends, viewers, listeners said, Jim, why don't you put something together like this that you have created? You know, because I've always been working with TV stations and radio stations and networks and all kinds of different shows and still do. But then they said, why don't you create something that you do that reflects you directly, where you can have all kinds of fun and guests and all kinds of cool things. So guess what? 10 weeks ago, we did that. Put that television hat on and we built our home studio here, and it's been terrific. And the comments have been truly a blessing, and the viewership continues to grow. And all the wonderful comments I get, Facebook messages and texts and private messages and posts on the Facebook pages at Jim Masters TV, the love on YouTube. I do encourage you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. That is terrific because they've got a crazy algorithm there where the more subscribers, obviously, the more the incredible content gets to be viewed by others. So you get to enjoy it, and then others who just stumble upon it get to see it as well. So all the episodes of the Jim Masters Show Live are archived at YouTube at Jim Masters TV. So I welcome you to head on over there when you can and just click subscribe. I know they call it subscribe, and I don't know why they call it subscribe, because you are not paying for anything. Usually when people think of subscriptions, they go, oh, no. It's not a subscription-based situation where you're paying for anything. It's just connecting you with the YouTube channel, which is really the home base for the Jim Masters Show Live. We also stream on Facebook as well concurrently at Jim Masters TV, and we welcome everybody that's watching on Facebook as well. We do have a global audience, and we thank you very much for that. We've had a significant amount of extraordinary guests who have been joining me here on our talk show series from all walks of life, including television and film and music and science and life coaches and chefs and comedians and sports and literally everybody. But the show also is about light, levity, and love, or as we dubbed, levity. So even when we don't have a guest on some of the episodes, it's you and I, the host and the viewers, and I love that interaction. I'm a very communal person. So as you know, I love to bring the viewers in. And again, thanks for sharing the links, hosting the watch parties, telling everybody about the show. That really is terrific as well. We launched it again 10 weeks ago, and it has been taking off by leaps and bounds in ways that I could never have imagined. A lot of work, up till like 3, 4 a.m. and then cranking all day long, and then balancing that with my professional work as well. Sometimes it gets a little intense, but love doing it. And I love the interaction with you and our phenomenal guests. As you can see on the screen, speaking of phenomenal guests, we have a phenomenal guest in store for you. We're going to have a wonderful show, so don't go anywhere. Matter of fact, there's still time to tell your friends and invite them to hop on over to the Jim Masters Show Live on YouTube at Jim Masters TV and Facebook at Jim Masters TV as we get the show started. Special guest, BroadwayWorld Cabaret Editor and celebrity photographer, as well as physical trainer, Stephen Mosher. He's a great individual, very empathetic, very caring person. He loves people like me. He's a communicator, and he loves to celebrate the arts, and he loves to capture the arts as well. And he does in his writings, as well as through his photography. He's brilliant at it. And when we sort of coordinated behind the scenes, putting this episode together where Stephen was going to be hopping on as my special exclusive guest tonight on the show, the communication that we had back and forth was really, really very warm and wonderful, actually. He's so excited to be here. He's honored to be here, but I'm honored to have him as my guest, and I'm honored to have all of you. I'm looking at all these messages we have already and comments already, which is fantastic. So thank you for joining us. And as you know, we have a little routine we do here to welcome everybody here on the Jim Masters Show Live. It is all about light, love, levity, or as we call it, levity. So we toast you and you and you and you and you. We welcome you to the show. Hope you've got your glass. Don't forget you have your glass with us so we can toast. Actually, tonight we just have a little light Propel grape water. That's it. Just something, light and refreshing, and nothing too heavy. It's a little humid out today, so we are just going light today. And our friends George Burns are here. George Burns is here, and the other friends are here as well. I will unveil them in just a minute. If you're just joining us for the first time, we always have George on the show. I debuted him just a couple of weeks ago on a nostalgic episode of the show. He is the commemorative George Burns doll that came out on his 100th birthday. This was actually my Aunt Lillian's, my mother's sister. Got passed down in the family to my cousin Barbara, her daughter, and then she gave it to me. There he is with a cigar at his feet. Yep, there he is on his pedestal. George is always on a pedestal. Always was, always will be. So he greets everybody with his cigar. And again, it's all about light, levity, and love. And ever since I had this on the show, everybody's like, where's George? We got to have George. So if I don't put George on, comments come in. And yes, Jeannie is here as well. This is the official I Dream of Jeannie bottle. This was a gift to me from a dear friend who knew I had always loved the series as a television buff myself. And this is the hand-painted bottle. She's in there. She is just resting today. She was out and about, and then she went in her bottle just about 5 minutes ago. You just missed her. So how you doing in there, Jeannie? The show's beginning. She's doing very well. And she says, yes, master. And she says hello to all of you. I don't know if you can see her in there. And she's on the couches there with the beads and everything. And I don't know if Larry Hagman's in with her or not, but I know that Major, Major Healy would always love to probably get into that bottle. I don't doubt. Here is another friend that we got on a television shoot in Europe. This is our friend Silver, the canine. And again, he came from Switzerland where we were on a TV shoot. And good looking dog. He's sort of our mascot here at the Jim Masters Show Live. We love introducing him every night because he watches over things to make sure everything is calm, cool, and collected, but also he greets all of you as well. So during these times, and then during any time, it's nice to have an unconditional friend like that, right? And here's another one, your friend, Jimmy. Of course, Jimmy is here as well. Again, these are all characters that I put on the show during our nostalgic episode, and everybody fell in love with them. And now it's creating some light and levity and love for everybody. So Jimmy is there. And again, I might have him host the show if I decide to take a day off or if I'm out of town or something. Not that out of town is really happening right now, but could have Jimmy fill in. So he greets you as well. He says hello. And as you know, here on the show, again, even though I do this kind of work professionally, on this broadcast that we started 10 weeks ago, we always go Hollywood. We go big here at the show. So we've got lights, camera, and action. So let's do that right now. That officially starts the show. This thing's pretty cool, isn't it? Lights, camera, and action. I didn't buy this specifically for the show. None of these things actually were purchased for the show. These are things we had around the house anyway that have just become part of the show. This was something, this actually hangs on the wall. And we took this, there's a couple of things that we took off the walls in certain, rooms, bedrooms, spare rooms, things of that nature that we're using for the show. So I did say that we could rename the Jim Masters Show Live Off the Wall because that would be apropos for it to be off the wall. So how is everybody doing today? I've got a lot of messages coming in here on the phone as well, and that's nice to see. And we have a ton of messages here. As you know, we always like to welcome the audience first, and then we welcome our very, very special guests who's going to be joining us in just a minute. We have viewers coming in from all around the world. And Renee in Iowa says, happy Wednesday, everyone. And happy Wednesday to you as well, Renee. Always nice to have you here. I love that you have the watch parties and you share the links and you tell everybody. You are really phenomenal at that. And we here at the show really appreciate your doing that. That means a lot to us because that means you're really enjoying the show, and the show is touching you and it moves you. And at the same time, you want others to experience it. So we love that. And hope your day's going well there in the breadbasket of America in good old Iowa. And Ann is with us. Hello from Southern California. Just got back from Oregon. Or is it Oregon? Oregon, I think East Coast, Oregon, West Coast. That's great. That must have been beautiful up there as well. You know, that's one place I still have not been. I haven't been, believe it or not, to Washington State or to Oregon yet. I've got to get there in my travels. I've tried to get some TV shoots going there, but nothing's taken me there yet. So nice to see you're back there in Southern California. And it's good to see you, Ann, as well. And Joy Lorenzo in New York City with that beautiful picture. I know if I look there, that's where I see the picture, but you guys see it over like on that side there with her beautiful grandson, Connor. Hello, Connor. If Connor is watching, nice to see Connor and Joy Lorenzo there in New York City. We welcome you to the show. Wonderful show in store. Avril Britton there in Hampshire in the United Kingdom. Good to have you with us, Avril. Thank you very much for watching us almost every night. I realize that it's like, 12:15 a.m. where you are there in beautiful Britain. We thank you very much. And again, as I mentioned, we have a lot of family connections to the United Kingdom on literally both sides of our family. So it's nice to see you there. Love that picture of you in the yellow shirt. And you look very, very happy. So welcome to you, Avril. It's always nice to see. And thanks for all the posts on the Facebook pages that you've been making. We appreciate that. I get to see everything. I see all the posts, all the messages, so I appreciate them all. True blessing. It brings joy to my day as we are working behind the scenes hard on this show every day, continuing to tweak it. It's growing, it's expanding, which we love. And Christine Fairwood in Connecticut says, good evening. And we say good evening to you. Christine, I hope you're doing well. Did you get that thunder and lightning a couple of hours ago? That was really something. And Karen is watching on YouTube, giving some love to the YouTube channel. Be sure and subscribe if you haven't. I hate asking people to do that, but if you can, it really helps the YouTube channel because we're growing the channel, and the more people that subscribe, of course, we've been really emphasizing the channel a lot because we want to have all of the people that can watch these episodes, because we've had some amazing guests and amazing conversation. We tend to go deep on this show. People are saying it reminds them a little of, it's got the modern sensibilities of today, the way I host it, but also hearkening back a little bit to sort of the Dick Cavett, more in-depth conversation. Some have said a little Mike Douglas, Merv Griffin, maybe a little Regis Philbin in there. Johnny Carson, this is what everybody's telling me. In conjunction with some of the current vibe and feel of now, which is, I think, a great mix. I like that mix, not all one way, not all, I'm a Libra, so it's balance and harmony anyway. So a little of this, put it in the pot, and there we go. So good to see you on the YouTube channel at Jim Masters TV. Karen in lovely New Hampshire. Hope you're doing well, and hi to you as well. Sharon DeMaria in Connecticut. Happy Wednesday, everyone. That's a stunning photo of you, Sharon. Really, really. You always have beautiful photos as well on your pages. It's great to see you here as well. And we wish you well. And we've got a great show in store. Tell your friends. There's still time. And Clara is watching. Yes, Francesca, a wonderful guest I had who has been so kind in telling so many people about the show. She shared the link. Not only did she immediately like the YouTube channel, but she took the actual episode link to that incredible conversation we had, and she has shared it with the world. And so many people have been watching that conversation. She's originally from Melbourne, Australia, and she's a brilliant actress and performer and a dear friend as well. And she's amazing. She's so supportive of the show. She's watching right now there on YouTube. Clara, thank you very much. Love it. And thanks for the some of the names of the people that you've been recommending coming on the show as my guest as well, Clara. I really, really appreciate that. And we've got some good folks lined up. as well. There's a lot of people have been doing that. A lot of people in the industry and friends who have been just stepping up and saying, Jim, I think this person would be great. And Jim, this person, Jim, can you have this person on? And whew, that's been wonderful from all these different areas. It's just been fantastic. And people that I know personally as well in the industries. It's just been wonderful because I've interviewed so many people. I think I calculated interviewed about 6,000 people on television and radio over the course of the years. Not on this show in 10 weeks, but we're getting there, it seems. So good to see you, Clara and Ernestine in North Carolina. Hi, Jim and everyone. Hope today was a good one for all. We had rain today and probably tomorrow too. Yeah, I think here in the Northeast, that rain that you've been getting has been coming up here because we had some thunder and lightning. This show originates from the greater New York City area between New York and Boston in the United States for those watching as well. So good to see you, Ernestine. Anna. Or Anne, we also have an Anna in there somewhere. Anne, thank you very much for joining us again in SoCal. And I really appreciate you watching the show. We've had some great guests. A wonderful interview with Karen Mason last night. Matter of fact, she and I just texted about 10 minutes ago. She has been texting me about how much she just loved our conversation last night. It was really beautiful. And I've known her prior to this and for a number of years, and it's so wonderful then when we get a chance to do these interviews with people that but also with people that you've never met before, because I think I've become friends with everybody that I've interviewed throughout my career, and I love that. And friends with all of you. And thank you very much for joining us. And we have Cabaret Hotspot. Hi all, good to have you with us, Cabaret Hotspot. Thank you for watching on Jim Masters TV on YouTube. If you can, click subscribe, click that notification bell. Everybody on YouTube says that all day long, but if you can, that would be great. We'd love to have you on the Jim Masters train, as some of the guests have called it, here on the Jim Masters Show Live. We're here nightly, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. That's right, nightly, like every day, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. And Rini Katz, who's going to be actually joining us tomorrow night as a guest. She's my guest tomorrow night. That's going to be cool. Looking forward to it. She and I have been in communication today as we're prepping for the show for tomorrow. Hi, Jim. Stephen Mosher is a talented and supportive contributor to the cabaret world. Yes, he is. Such a wonderful writer and photographer. Absolutely. Wait till you see some of his work we're going to share with you. He has photographed some of my favorite, being a television and film person myself, he has had the opportunity to film some of the most beloved celebrities and people in the arts for years. And we're going to show some of that with the audience today. So Rini, it is terrific to have you here, and we will have you tomorrow night as our guest. We can't wait. Pamela Griffin Drake. Hi, Jim. Good to see you, Pamela. Nice to have you on the show as well. I hope your day is going well. And Mark Maurice Mason. What a great name. Groovy Backdrop. Kind of cool, isn't it? You can watch this show every night at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, and we alter the backdrop. We use that one a lot. I like that one. That for the screen, but then all the different lighting and everything. And here in the home studio, actually. But we change it up sometimes based on the theme and the guest. On Saturday nights, we put is it there? Yeah, sometimes I go there. There it is. We put a disco ball back there, and we do sort of like a fun night, Saturday night, kind of cool stuff. And we take people on location. We do a lot of different things on this show that are beyond just the interviews with guests. It's again, a real talk show, entertainment lifestyle show with music and food and on location segments and lots of cool information, education, and entertainment. So good to have you with us, Mark. You'll find us here nightly, 7 p.m. Eastern, Facebook and YouTube at Jim Masters TV. And Willie is here as well. Good to see you, Willie. Hi, everyone. And Jim, Willie is in Holland in the Netherlands, and Willie goes out of her way every day to take a couple of naps during the day, and then she wakes up just in time for our show. Why? Because right now it is 21 minutes after 1 a.m. in Holland, where she lives. She's in Holland, and she watches our show loyally, faithfully, and religiously. And she takes the nap during the day so she can wake up in time for our show, which is 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, but 1 a.m. there in the Netherlands. So again, we always do this for Willie because that's real loyalty. Here Here are your Dutch tulips, Willie, just for you. I know you look for these. And thanks for all your posts and comments all day long. We really appreciate it. I know you're very active on the Facebook pages and YouTube as well with comments, and I appreciate that. So good to see you there in Holland, and thanks for staying up for the show. And David, Sabella, hi again to you as well there on YouTube at Gym Masters TV. We appreciate having you with us, David. I hope your day is going well and you're doing well today. And everybody, Mark goes, holy Christ, he's probably shocked that the host actually mentioned his name. Yes, we did. See, it's a very viewer-centric, viewer-interactive show. And you're feeling very Cocoa Beach-ish. Yes, well, Cocoa Beach. I mean, Jeannie, Cocoa Beach. Definitely. And you got the George Burns. So good to see you there, Mark, on Facebook. Alice is here from Southern California. Once again, Alice, nice to see you here. Wonderful to have you. I hope your day is going well. Kathleen is with us in New York City, the Queen of Queens, New York. Hi, Jim. Hi, all. It's a pleasure to have you here, Kathleen, as always. And as I mentioned, everybody, Kathleen and I had the pleasure of being on the Rachel Ray Show together about a year and a half ago, I think it was. Hope to do that again. So you're having some problems, I guess, with your Facebook today. So you're there on YouTube. Well, that's terrific. Love having you on YouTube. That, is great. YouTube is where the show originates, and Facebook, we have them married together. So that's terrific. Good to have you here on YouTube, and spread the word, Willie, in Holland. And Bonnie is watching from Connecticut, from the Constitution State, the Nutmeg State. Nice to see you, Bonnie, in Connecticut. Welcome to the show. It's good to have you here. And Christine wants to know where in Connecticut. June Rachelson Aspa, another dear friend, is watching. She's a lyricist and a longtime dear friend in New York City. And she is watching in New York on YouTube at Gym Masters TV. June, that profile picture that you have on YouTube is absolutely stunning. Who was the photographer? I mean, it's just really, that silhouette image is really breathtaking. Good to have you with us, my friend June. Good to have you with us. Jerry Castaldo, who is going to be coming on our show very soon. I'll keep you posted on that. We're going to work on some opportunities to have him here. Go, Jim. Thank you, Jerry. And that's a cool profile photo. I know on my screen, I look there and there's Jerry, but I know on your screen, I have to look like there and there's Jerry. But good to have you with us, Jerry. Appreciate it. Tell all your friends. Gym Master Show Live is here nightly, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. I should just get a billboard that says that, right? Everybody's saying hello to everybody. Tulips from Willie. Jennifer Roberts says, hi, all. That's a great picture, Jennifer, too, that profile picture. Good to have you with us. Welcome to the Gym Masters Show Live. Nice to have you here. And Danilo Reyes, Jim, is that really you? Let me see. Do I have a mirror anywhere? I don't have a mirror. Yes, it is I. And we're here live. And it's good to have you with us. And welcome to the show. Great to have you here on the show. Yes, we are here. We are live on Facebook and YouTube. And welcome. Nice to have you here. And let's see. Good to see we're celebrating Stephen Mosher. Yes, tonight. He is my special guest. Christopher in Ohio says hello, or hi, Jimbo is his welcome. Marianne Kelly in New Jersey says hi. We say hello to you as well. Jim Masters and Rachel Ray, and Kathleen and Rachel Ray as well. That was really terrific. So we are going to welcome our very special guest. Keep the comments coming. It was nice welcoming everybody here on the show. We've got a really cool guest who is, he's somebody that really loves what he does. And I love having an opportunity to welcome people to the show who truly love what they do. And when you get a chance to do that, it can really be something special. And he is somebody who he's got his hands in a lot of different things, kind of like I do. In these industries, you have your hands in a lot of different things, and that's just the way it works. We are excited to have him here on the show. There he is, our very special guest. I'm going to tell you a little about his wonderful background, and then you'll learn a little bit about him even more when we have him come on the show in just a moment. Stephen Mosher was actually born in Dallas, Texas. For those of you who thought he grew up in New York or LA, no, actually Dallas, to a businessman and an artist. He is the second of 4 children and was schooled in Europe, first in Portugal at the schools St. Dominics and St. Columbians, and later in Switzerland at the International School of Zurich and the International School as well. And you know what's really amazing is he returned to America in 1982, and then he attended Tarrant County Junior College, North Texas State University, where he met his husband, Pat Dwyer, in 1985. And then in 93, they relocated from Texas to New York City, where they continue to reside. Now, his childhood dream of being an actor was detoured in 1988 when he decided to stop performing and make his hobby of photography his career focus. And while living in Dallas, Stephen worked really doing pictures in the local theater scene, headshots, publicity stills, performance photos. In 1993, he and his husband moved to New York so that Stephen could focus on a project called The Sweater Book. We're going to be sharing some photos from that, which are extraordinary. The Sweater Book, and the project was a collection of photos of people wearing the same cardigan sweater. I don't know if you remember that, but that was very big, and I remember that, and I thought that was such a cool idea. It was Stephen's ambition to publish the collection in book form and to donate the money he made to AIDS and HIV charities. In 2003, the Sweater Book was published by Thomas Dunn Books. The collection features photos of hundreds of people, including Whoopi Goldberg and Laura Linney, Glenn Close, Christopher Maloney, Nora Wiley, Maggie Smith, Jason Alexander, Stephen Collins, Ella Ward, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Jane Krakowski, Hugh Laurie, Kristen Chenoweth, Bryan Cranston. These are all great people. Swoozie Kurtz, Tim Allen, Loretta Devine, Ryan Philippe, and on. Ted Danson and Matthew Broderick, Sarah Jessica Parker, Carol Burnett, one of my favorite people, had an opportunity to chat with and interview, and many, many more. During his time working on the Sweater Book, Stephen was bi-coastal, working in New York and Hollywood, where he became staff photographer for Nora Wiley's Blank Theater Company. Aside from the Sweater Book, Stephen spent the 1990s photographing performances by Deborah Cox and Anita Gillette and Christian Campbell and Eli Wallach and so many others, Nora Dunn and Diane Carroll and Paul Anthony Stewart, Daphne Rubin Vega, Alfie Bowie. Oh, really? Amazing people here. Alan Cumming and Jason Scott Lee and Jennifer Holliday, Cheetah Rivera, Carole King, Petula Clark, Helen Reddy. Interviewed her actually when I was in college. She's wonderful. She's back home in Australia, out of the limelight now. Helen Reddy, Bernadette Peters, and Joanna Gleason, Donna Murphy, and the Dame Judi Dench, who I love as well. After the publication of the Sweater Book, Stephen took time off from his photography to focus on his interests in health, fitness, and blogging. He returned to photography work in 2010 and continues to blog about topics including the arts, weight loss, bodybuilding, photography, spirituality, and addiction as well. In 2016, Stephen published a memoir titled Lived in Crazy, about his life, his family, and the creation of the Sweater Book. In 2017, Stephen made his New York City nightclub debut at the famed night spot Don't Tell Mama. We were talking about that with Karen Mason last night, Don't Tell Mama. It was an 80-minute show titled The Storyteller, and he told about his life in Song and Stories and Cabaret Scenes magazine. And journalist Bart Greenberg declared the show a surprising cabaret debut and praised Stephen's pleasant voice that flowed between a whiskey tenor and a B. Arthur baritone. In 2014, Stephen completed his course of study and is now an ACE certified personal trainer and American Red Cross certified lifeguard. And from 2013 to 2017, Stephen was a contributing columnist for the internet magazine Edge, as well as providing content for Edge on the Net, the website, on the subject of health and fitness. Stephen has for 6 years had a career in event coordination in executing parties, both private and corporate, and weddings as well. He is a real activist too, and he's traveled. He and his husband every jurisdiction for 25 years in America where same-sex marriage is legal and getting married. And their adventure was captured by filmmaker Alan Piper and was being turned into the documentary Married and Counting. Stephen Mosher and his husband hoped to use the film and their YouTube channel to help promote gay rights and marriage equality. The film Married and Counting is narrated by George Takei, who you remember from Star Trek, and features original music from Jennifer Houston, and had its premiere in 2013. So an extraordinary background and a real empathetic person, and always loving and celebrating the arts. And we've got some amazing photos we're going to show you in just a moment, and some video as well. But we're going to learn more about him. It's a pleasure to have him here on the show, and let's welcome him to our broadcast right now. Good to have you with us, Stephen. How are you?
Hi, Jim, thanks for having me. Can you hear me? Am I mic
Now,
okay?
yeah, we can hear. Just a slight delay a little bit, but we can definitely hear you. And you are in a voiceover booth. For people that aren't familiar with voiceover, I've done a lot of voiceover work too. It's an actual booth that is sort of created that is soundproof for when you got to go in and you got to do recordings and voiceovers for projects as well. And that's what your husband does, right? Is a voiceover person.
That is correct. He gets a lot of work from right here in our home. This room that has been a guest room for 25 years was turned into a voiceover booth a couple years ago, and so I'm in a cave.
You are in a cave, but it's a nice quiet cave and a pleasant place to be, you know, especially during all of these times. You were telling me that sometimes you just like to go in there just for some, you know, peace and quiet and relaxation.
Yes.
Meditation, right?
Very peaceful, very peaceful.
Absolutely. So let's talk about your background. I mentioned you grew up in the wonderful city of Dallas, Texas. Were you always, as a young child, Stephen, were you always interested in the arts and entertainment and performing? Were you always, you know, the kid in class or at home who was always entertaining everybody? And is there entertainment in your family at all that might have sparked this interest?
I come from a show business family. My grandparents on my mother's side of the family were Hollywood employed. My grandmother worked at Paramount Studios. She worked in the wardrobe department with Edith Head. And my grandfather was a butler and a chauffeur for an actress named Mae West.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And, so that's one generation. And then my mom and dad, when they got married, they were with the circus for a couple of years.
Oh, cool.
They traveled with a stunt show called Art Swinson's Thrillcade. And my father did tricks on motorcycles and cars, and riding them through firewalls and that kind of thing. And my mother was the girl on top of the roof of the car in the miniskirt as the car drove around the track. And so I guess you could say show business is a family thing, but I am the only one that really wanted to make it my life. So I pursued acting for a while. That didn't work out. And photography, let's see, for 37 years. And now I'm a show business journalist. So I'm the only person in my family who actively works in the arts.
In the actual arts. So that progression, I mentioned it in that wonderful introduction and bio in the background at our crack research department, the crack research department developed, and it was a wonderful progression. So in those early years, were you doing some acting like in school? Were you involved in school plays and different things as you were sort of toying with the performance side of things?
You know, I did the same kind of things that every kid does in school. And growing up overseas, it's difficult to have a childhood career as an actor. So I had to wait until I graduated high school and came back to the States to pursue that. And I actually think that it was a disadvantage. I think that and it's different now. It's a lot different now. Children can become very famous in the arts very quickly thanks to the YouTube and the interwebs. But when you graduate high school in 1982 in Switzerland, there's really no way to nurture that part of your creative dream. And so I found myself in Texas in drama school and just struggling to figure out how to make the business and my own personal aesthetic work together. So it didn't take me long to give it up.
What was that like growing up? Well, not growing, while you were growing up, as you were in school in Europe, what was that like? And tell us about the experience of being schooled in Europe. I mean, that's extraordinary. That's not something that everybody gets a chance to do. Were you part of a specific program? Was there a reason why Europe was the place where you were being educated at that time in your life?
So my dad worked for a company called Dun & Bradstreet, and they moved him around a lot.
Yeah.
So we would move every 2 to 4 years. I don't think before the age of 10 I lived anywhere longer than 4 years. So hanging on to friendships was complicated. And at 10, our parents sat us down and said, we are moving to Europe. And for me, my understanding of Europe was the movie The Sound of Music. So I was positive everything was going to be hills and Julie Andrews, right? And we ended up in Portugal during a revolution. That was a lot of fun. Spent 4 years there while my dad ran the Lisbon office of Dun & Bradstreet, going to, like you said, 2 different schools. I started out at St. Dominic's, which was a school run by Irish nuns. And my father felt that I wasn't getting enough male influence, so he moved me from that school to another school called St. Columban's, where I had an actual bona fide headmaster who had a paddle in his desk so that he could spank the unruly children. It was the 70s. After a few years in Portugal, they transferred. He did such a good job in Portugal that they moved him to Zurich. So that's when we ended up in Switzerland. And I had to tell you, I understand completely. I fully understand that having 8 years in European countries, I had every advantage in the world. I completely appreciate the opportunity that I was given.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wouldn't give any of it back. You know, I went to school with children from many different countries. It was like the United Colors of Benetton High School, you know, because I went to school with the military kids and the embassy kids and the businessman's kids, and I was exposed to many different cultures. And
that's enriched your life, right? And carried over to the work and the appreciation of other peoples and cultures and religions and genders and everything. And it's an exposure that you might not have gotten if you didn't go away from where you were originally and experience all of that, right?
Absolutely. You couldn't have said it better. And thanks to the Facebook machine, I'm in touch with some of the people that I was in school with, and that's a real blessing.
So let's talk about the progression to becoming a writer and a journalist and sort of that background. Did the photography come before the writing, or was the writing before the photography? What was the progression of events there for you, Stephen?
I always loved writing. I have always loved words and sentence structures. And in the second grade, I would come into the teacher and say, here, I wrote this book report. And she'd say, I didn't ask you for a book report. I said, but I wrote it anyway.
Right. So, she just wanted a 2-sentence thing, and you gave her the whole thing, right?
Yeah, no. And I do little illustrations and shit like that. So I always wanted to write. And when I was 16 and at the International School of Bern, the school did not have a yearbook, an annual. And my mother, who graduated from high school in Hollywood, said, that's not going to work for my kids. So she went to the school board and she said, if I can raise the money for a yearbook, will you let me make one? And they said yes, and she raised the money. And one day she gave me her 35 millimeter Yashica, and she said, go to school, take pictures of everything. It's for the yearbook. And that's how photography sort of took over my life. And even though I continued to write, uh, uh, when you're 16 years old and you learn how to go into a darkroom and develop film and print pictures, and photographers these days, unless they're trained to work on film, they don't know the magic of putting the piece of paper into the liquid and seeing the image appear. It's a truly magical thing. And so even though I continued to write over the years, the photography was my life for, God, I want to say 37 years. So, and then I put it away. I put my cameras away. I retired and continued writing.
So you continued writing, and what was some of the types of material that you were writing? What were the first genres that you were sort of interspersed into and immersed in?
When I was young, I thought that I could write fiction. I was wrong. I have some of it.
Did you figure that out, or were you told that by others, or both?
I kind of figured it out. It's difficult. I admire fiction writers so much, and I just want to, ask them, how do you do it? How do you sit down and, do the outline? It's too much. Ugh. So what I found that I prefer is writing essays. I spent a lot of years as a blogger, writing about things that I would see around New York City, or writing about the theater that I saw, or the experiences that I had, because I felt like coming up with a fictional tale was less authentic to who I am than telling my own story, telling my own voice. And so that's what I did as a blogger. But then I found out that nobody was reading my blog, so I was like, well, the hell with this. And I stopped writing. I just write for me.
Right. Exactly. And then when did the photography sort of, you had it on the back burner there, you really focused on photography. When did the photography bug start to enter again? And you said, I really want to get back into that because I love that so much. When were you able to resurrect that, Stephen?
All right, so the trajectory really looks like this. Here I am, 16 years old, taking pictures at a high school. And then I go off to college, and I was studying drama, but I had, God, this is embarrassing. My grandmother had, my niece is saying she read my blogs. Yay, one reader. My grandmother used to sit me down with big picture books and show me pictures of Greta Garbo and Marlene Dietrich and Joan Crawford. And so she sort of put George Hurrell in my head. And that's the kind of thing that I wanted to do. I wanted to do glamorous photography like George Hurrell. And then in the 70s, I saw this really dreadful film called The Eyes of Laura Mars. And it was Faye Dunaway playing this fashion photographer, a very sensationalist. And so I decided to try that. And so here I am in college around all these actors who really just loved an opportunity to get in front of the camera. And I was trying to figure out if I was George Hurrell, or if I was Laura Mars, or if I was going to shoot for Harper's Bazaar, or what I was going to do. So I taught myself photography. As a theater major, I couldn't get into the art department. I went over there and said, can I minor in photography? They said, they actually said this to me, you're a drama major, we don't want you. So I taught myself by saying, I call up my actor friends and say, I have a roll of film and a bottle of wine. Do you want to come over? And so in my early 20s, I was recreating the style of George Hurrell and trying to find my artistic voice. And when I left college, I found myself in Dallas again around all these actors. And when I decided at 24 that I could not do the acting thing, I just sort of sidestepped from performing to photographing performers. And the writing just right out the window. And photography was my life for 3 decades.
Absolutely. Yeah. And has not ever stopped. It's something that is in you. I know, you're the cabaret editor at the fabulous Broadway World, but your photography is truly amazing. The way you're able to capture the essence, the true essence of the individual. And that's something that takes a certain eye, but also heart and feeling and soul, because you feel really connected, and you probably even see. And we've talked about this. I've expressed this in my professional work on the air, but also with some of the guests that I've had who are in the arts or in any field, actually, Stephen, that when we also see elements of ourselves in the people that we are either entertaining or inspiring or are inspired by. There's a relatability. And I'm sure there were probably little nuances and essences of each of the people when you look at the amalgamation and body of work, especially in the photography side of things. You saw little things that you connected with the subject of the day that you were taking that wonderful photo of and series of photos of, little essences of yourself within them, which makes one even a little bit more connected to that subject, right?
I have the both blessing and curse of being an empath.
Oh, you too? High level.
Yeah.
High level.
Hello. Hey there.
Yeah,
I'll see you at the meeting on Thursday. Um,
that's
I
right.
I for many years found that I could look at a person and know what they were thinking, know what they were feeling, and that helped my photography immensely. And one of my ambitions as a photographer was always to make people feel as beautiful as they were when I looked at them. And so I would get people into the studio and I would light them a certain way and then make sure that they were photographed so that they could look at the contact sheets, which people don't have anymore. A
No.
contact sheet, I wish I had one. A contact sheet was a wonderful 8x10 with all the pictures, all the negatives on it. And you could look and
Yeah.
people would look at their contact sheet and say, "Oh my God, I'm so pretty." And that was like, Cupid's arrow, right in the heart for me. I wanted people to leave one of my photo shoots feeling beautiful.
Mm-hmm. It's really cool because that's a voiceover booth you're in, but it almost looks like a dark room too. Speaking of photography,
It is a dark room. You want to see?
you have any? There you go. There's no developing fluid around there at all, is there?
Well, yes.
There you go. That's right. That's right. So, how did you get into the celebrity side of things where you were able to really have access to and capture the true essence of people in the arts in the way that you have over the years? And we'll start showing some of the beautiful photography and respect to that, Stephen. But how did that door sort of open for you early on?
I pushed and pushed
Mm-hmm.
and pushed until they had to let me in.
That's it. It's Stephen again. Open that door.
Yes, yes. We were living in Texas, and I'm very bad with dates, but I want to say it was 1992. It could have been 93. And we were watching the Academy Awards, and they gave Elizabeth Taylor the Jean Hersholt Award for her work with HIV and AIDS charities. And I'll never forget it because she was wearing this yellow dress, and she got up there and she had the Hersholt, and she said, "We all have to do what we can to stop the pandemic of AIDS." And I'd never heard that word before. And I said to Pat, my boyfriend, who is now my husband, I said, "Well, what's pandemic?" And he said, "It's an epidemic, only worse." And I was like, that's so cool. Pandemic. And I had been doing this series of photos of my friends. After I'd had a good photo shoot, I had this sweater that I had given to Pat for Christmas one year. And if I had a good photo shoot with somebody, I'd say, "Would you let me take your picture in this sweater?" And I would just give it to them and let them do whatever they wanted. And I took these pictures and I hung them up around our house. And when we'd have parties, people would look at the pictures on the wall and say, "There's something about these pictures, but I can't put my finger on it." And that was how the sweater book started. And I said to Pat, if we could get Elizabeth Taylor to wear the sweater for a picture, we could do a book and sell it to raise money for AIDS charities. And so we picked Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS, and we tried to get another organization that said no. And so we eventually picked another organization here in the city. We came up from Texas to New York, and I began going to Broadway theaters, going to stage doors and leaving letters for the artists in the plays saying, this is what I'm doing. Would you do it with me? Mm-hmm. And after a year of that, it was like, the head on the wall, boom, boom, boom. Raphael Sbarge said yes. And then he called his friend Austin Pendleton.
A guest on our show 2 weeks ago.
I know, I watched.
He was wonderful.
And then Austin called Melissa Errico, and she said yes. And that's really how it happened. And, once you build up a list of 20 celebrities, you can really go for well, I never got them. I never got Tom Cruise. I never got Nicole Kidman. I never got Elizabeth Taylor. But you know what? I'm very happy with the celebrities that I got from my book. I'm
kidding me? Yeah.
Doing that book was one of the joys of my life.
That was an extraordinary concept too. Would you ever consider doing anything similar to that? I mean, just there was just such a, and I remember it well. And then it reminded me when I was looking through the photographs today when we were formatting and creating the episode. It reminded me about it, and I thought it was such a brilliant idea then, and is still a brilliant idea now, because it's so connecting and so threading. Here you have something that's so basic, and then yet people from all different backgrounds and ages and levels of expertise and wealths of success and things of that nature all coming together uniformly for the same thing, which, boy, does our world really need about now. So have you ever thought, when we are able to do this type of thing again, of doing a part 2 to that sort of scenario with some other folks?
So when the Sweater Book came out in 2003, I immediately began working on 10 other projects. And the Sweater Book sold so poorly that
really?
It sold so badly that no one would take my other 10 projects seriously. And so I shouldn't say that. Nobody in the publishing world would. I had beautiful show business folks saying, yeah, I want to be in that book. And so for these 10 other books, I got Alan Cumming and Donna Murphy and Daphne Rubin Vega, and then nobody would buy those books from me. So I've got this.
Why do you think? I mean, that's fantastic. What
the Sweater Book? I cannot stress this enough. The Sweater Book was the $30 million movie that brings in 100,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so people really, my agent couldn't sell a single one of my ideas. And so I just kind of, closed the book on that and went and got in bed for 18 months. And when I got out of bed, got on with my life. And I've got all these beautiful pictures of all those beautiful artists. And I look at them sometimes and love them. Sometimes I put them on Facebook.
Yeah, they're incredible. I want to show people some of them because they're extraordinary. And is there a way to bring the book out? Would you consider, a reprint or anything? Or is it available on Amazon? Is there ways that people can get it? If they're watching tonight live or in the archives and saying, well, I don't care about everybody else, I want that book. Can people get it?
I'm going to tell you something. The Sweater Book is a really good book. It's a really, really good book. I think that you could probably find a copy of it on eBay or Amazon. I'll tell you a funny story. When my book came out, Barnes & Noble said that they would give me a book signing if I brought 2 celebrities with me. So I got Charlie Shaughnessy, who everybody knows from The Nanny, and I got Paul Anthony Stewart, who has been doing a lot of Broadway these last few years. And the 3 of us went to Barnes & Noble on Fifth Avenue, and we signed a bunch of books. And flash forward many, many years, and somebody says to me, could I have a copy of the Sweater Book? And I didn't have one. So I went on eBay to buy a copy of the sweater book to give to somebody else. And I see somebody selling the sweater book for like $50. And in the description, it says, this is a signed copy from the author. It's really, really valuable because this guy won't sign anything. It's a very hard autograph to get. And I read that and I went, really? So I wrote to this person and I said, listen, I'm an eBay seller and I understand that you have to say what you can say to make the sale. But I also know that you can get in trouble for lying on eBay. And I just want you to know that my name is Stephen Mosher and I'll sign a piece of toilet paper if you put it in front of me. Dude did not answer, and I also did not buy my own book for $50. So I think that it was still there for sale for several weeks afterward. I don't have any copies anymore. I've got my own personal copy, and I think you can find them online.
Well, Aston said Aston bought out 2 different local Barnes and Nobles in the Dallas-Fort Worth area when they were on sale.
Aston is my niece.
Yeah, of course. That's it. And of course, Pat says, Austin, my acting teacher as well. And
that's my husband. Pat Dwyer's my husband.
That's right. That's right. And just want to show you, got some great comments coming in here before we start taking a look at some of the fabulous photos and so much more to talk about. Love watching your show. Thank you very much, Ann. In Southern California, the Cabaret Hotspot folks are here as well. Rainy Cats. Hi, Jim. Stephen Mosher is a talented, supportive contributor to the Cabaret World, such a wonderful writer and photographer. Pamela's saying hello. And Mark still loves the groovy background here on our studio set. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. David says hello. And oh boy, we are flooded with comments here. I'm trying to scroll through just to get some in here that we can really take a look at quickly. Good to see that we are celebrating Stephen Mosher. Absolutely. Jennifer Roberts here as well. Marianne Kelly saying hello. Christopher says hello. Wow. We've got Dorian Woodruff here as well. Hello, all. You know Dorian, right? Good friend. And Aaron, love and miss you tons, Stephen.
I owe you a phone call.
And was in that book as
Yes,
well.
Yep.
Christopher Joseph in Ohio, who's a musician, performer, says great career. And Aaron sending love to Pat as well. And Helene Blumfeld is here. And Merlin in Innerkip, Ontario, Canada. Hi, Jim and Stephen. Renee in Iowa. Hello to Stephen. Diane D. Pasquale. Hi, Stephen. Love you, Diane. And there's Lane as well. Hi, Stephen. And happy birthday as well to you. We hear that it is your birthday, and we must say a very, very happy birthday. Everybody raise their glasses, and a very happy birthday to Stephen.
Thank you.
Clang, and a toast to you as well on your birthday. I hope you're having a beautiful day. I mean, what a great way to celebrate the birthday on the air live worldwide with all this love from our great audience here, Stephen. And our dear friend Ralph says, hello all, thanks for being here with us on the show.
Ralph,
and Christopher says, wow, showbiz runs in your family. And let's see. Hi, Mercedes, Helene says as well. Marianne Kelly says, persistence pays off in a genre best for you. Jennifer Roberts loves Stephen Mosher, such a caring, generous artist and person. Aston says, isn't my uncle amazing? I love that when Pat says, yup. And you both are. And I read your blogs. Colette is here, the great storyteller, Stephen Mosher. Diane says, happy birthday. We're all wishing our wonderful friend Stephen Mosher a very happy birthday here live on the show. You know, he waited to have his birthday until the date of our episode. Do you know that? I don't know how we worked that out. Looking amazing, my dear person. I love you. This is so great. So happy to see you and learn more about you. I agree with Aston Isbell. You're amazing. The only thing better than watching this would be to see you in person, which is wonderful. We're glad to have you here on the show. David William Smith, who worked with me at iHeartRadio, then at PBS, and then went on to ESPN. 4 years of photography in high school. We just started experimenting with color his senior year. That's right, from black and white to color. Great stories, contact sheets. Remembering the contact sheets.
I wish I had one.
Watching such great stories. Thank you, Brigitte. Good to have you with us here on the Jim Master Show Live. Join us nightly, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Jennifer Roberts still has most of her contact sheets. Elena does as well. What a great sentiment watching your clients to feel beautiful after the photo shoots as well. And let's see, Austin Pendleton again, my acting teacher. Austin was a wonderful person to have on the show. Hearts from Jennifer. And there you go, information about the sweater book, hundreds of people, one common thread on Amazon. So there's the link there. Pat put the link up, which we appreciate. AJ has a signed copy of the sweater book. That's terrific. Christopher says cabaret settings are the best. Willie from Holland, who is up now at 2 a.m. watching the show. She takes the naps so she doesn't miss our show. They're in the Netherlands. Hello, Stephen. And that's wonderful. And thank you, Stephen. And happy birthday coming in from Jennifer. Everybody now going to wish happy birthday, which is great. So want to make sure you see all of that. Happy birthday. And Christopher in Ohio, Ernestine Webb in North Carolina, Renee in Ohio. Great month for birthdays. Yours as well, Renee, as well. And Deno, happy birthday as well. And Willie celebrating in the Netherlands. And Kathleen sends you love and happy birthday. Marcella. Hi, Pat and Steven sending love from Texas. Also happy birthday. Holly as well. And Merlin in Ontario, Canada. And Interkip says that as well. Willie says happy birthday. Colette says happy birthday. I certainly rounded up the troops, didn't I, Stephen? Christine, yeah, and Christine in Connecticut, and Kathleen in New York City, and Karen in New Hampshire, and Dorian. I have mine, and there's some available on Amazon talking about the book. And I have my book, and they're, again, available on Amazon. Jerry Castaldo. Really nice show, guys. Thank you, Jerry. You'll be coming on in a couple of weeks as well. We're looking forward to that. And I think the secret is out about your birthday, Becca says. Yes. So a collective happy birthday to Stephen here on the show. And now we want to show some of the beautiful photography. We're going to segue to some of the beautiful photography that Stephen has so generously shared with us here, and some of the incredible artists you've had an opportunity to take beautiful shots of over the years. And of course, everybody knows this lovely face here. We are talking about the one and only Whoopi Goldberg. Yes, tell us about that day of shooting.
So we weren't with Whoopi for very long. She was shooting a commercial, and they were really gracious. They let us come to the studio, use their lighting. She was only with us for a couple of minutes, but very sweet, very kind. We showed her some previous pictures. She saw some pictures of Carol Burnett, and that made her happy. She is truly one of the sweetest people I've ever met.
Yeah, she's wonderful, isn't she?
She's also just hilarious.
Yes, yes. I love when she always goes, "What the hell?" When things get crazy, she always goes, "What the hell?" And she's right. Another great shot here.
So when we did this picture of Ming and Eric, I think the Joy Luck Club had happened. I don't know if ER had, and they were like freshly married, and you can sort of see how in love they are.
Yeah.
Insisted that he be, you know what, ER had to be filming because we did that on the lot. You can't see it because it's cropped out, but above their head is a street sign that says Mary Tyler Moore Street, because we did it on the lot. Really nice people.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of love in that shot is right. And Savion Glover, look at this shot here. Wow, what a cool action shot that is.
Yeah, I was really, really proud of that one. And that was shot on film. You know, back in the day when you had to get it right, you know, when it couldn't be fixed in post-production.
And what was the scenario? What was happening during this this shot here?
So he was performing in something called Broadway Under the Stars. It was at Bryant Park, and they lined up a bunch of big Broadway performers to come out onto the show and perform. And I was right up front to get my shots.
Yeah, right there, up close and personal, really beautiful shot. Just look at the hair flowing and everything. It really captured something beautiful there. Here's another fantastic shot, Jennifer Holliday.
This is one of my favorite things because I'm an old show queen, and it turns out that for the sweater book, I actually photographed the dreams. I photographed Jennifer Holliday, Cheryl Lee Ralph, Loretta Devine. So that always gives me a thrill.
Mm. People are saying, I cannot think of a better way to celebrate your birthday. Love these photos.
Thank you.
How do I remember where everyone is from? Jim has an amazing memory. And they're loving the photos as well. Jennifer loves them. Wow. And let's continue with our wonderful display. Jason Scott Lee, cool shot here. What was happening here?
So Jason actually flew into Los Angeles from Hawaii for this photo shoot, which amazed me. And I stayed with a friend out in Manhattan Beach, and Jason drove out to Sean's place, my friend Sean Johnston, and Pat flew in from New York because he always called Jason Scott Lee his future ex-husband. And we all walked down Manhattan Beach. He had the sweater wrapped around him, and it was an interesting thing because he kicked off his shoes and in the middle of the photo shoot began picking up trash that people had thrown on the beach, collected all the garbage, and then thrown it in the trash can.
Wow. So a civic duty while being photographed. That's beautiful.
This is a really
Captures.
good man. I love him. Yeah.
Here's another great shot. Angela Bassett. Look at that, huh?
Angela Bassett was doing Macbeth at the Public Theater, and I sent a letter over to the theater, and somebody called and said that she would do it with her husband, Courtney Vance. And what I loved about this, because Angela Bassett is this really fierce, strong woman, but when we did this photo shoot, he took such good care of her.
Yeah.
You know, cold winter day, and he made sure that the fans weren't bothering her. And when it was getting too cold, he came to me and said, "We're done." He was so gentle and loving and caring with her. I loved them.
Yeah, really beautiful shot. I mean, it's just, again, you can really capture some beauty there. And here's one of my favorite people from television and much more, stage and movies. But remember her as Florida Evans on Good Times too. And Maud's maid too on Maud with B. Arthur.
Yeah.
Wonderful Esther Roll. What a great shot. Tell us about this one.
So I was allowed to go to the set of a TV show called Promised Land. Promised Land was a companion show for Touched by an Angel.
That's right.
They were doing a crossover episode. So I flew into Salt Lake City and photographed the entire cast of the episode. And Martha Williamson, the producer, let me use the beauty parlor set. And the actors would come into me one at a time. And Esther Roll came in, and she was sitting in the chair, and they were fixing her hair and fixing her makeup. And she was flipping through my portfolio, looking at the pictures of the people who had worn the sweater before her. And after a while, she said, "Look at all these naked people in the sweater." So she was a real lady. She was a real lady.
Absolutely. And a brilliant actress and so much more. And here's another great shot. Jose, tell us about this one.
So Jose Lana agreed to be in one of my 10 failed books, the 10 books that went to the back burner. And I went over to his apartment and we photographed him. He was getting ready to go out on the road, and we took pictures of him inside of his suitcase because he felt like it represented the life of an actor. And then before I went, he just jumped up in his bed and wrapped up in the sheets and pillows, and we had some fun there. And this is one of my favorites because it sort of reminds me of those pictures of Marilyn Monroe when she was naked and wrapped up in a sheet. So we have a boy, and he's got the pillows and the sheets, and you don't know that he's wearing, a pair of cargo shorts underneath it, but it could be, like the Marilyn Monroe pictures.
Absolutely. Here's another great one, another action shot, one and only Sam Harris. Let's talk about that one there.
So in 2017, I actually retired from photography. And when I started working for BroadwayWorld, I had to get my camera out of the closet and start taking pictures discreetly during the shows so that I had a picture to run with my story. And the clubs are really, really sweet, really kind about it as long as I'm discreet. And Sam is one of my very favorites, and getting to shoot him in action, not just write about him, but to photograph him in action, your heart goes boo, 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 because he's constantly in motion.
Absolutely. Looks so natural and absolutely beautiful photos. Wow. Wow. Gorgeous. Some really, really nice comments coming in from people who are enjoying us taking them through this photographic journey here. And the one and only familiar friend of everybody, Jim Caruso. That is such a perfect Jim Caruso shot.
He's one of the funniest people I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What was he doing? What was he saying? What was happening? Do you remember what was going on there?
I do. This was during the a Swingin' Birdland Christmas, which he and Billy Stritch and Clea Blackhurst do every year.
Mm-hmm.
And they are just the three of them are more energy than you can possibly manage. And they sat me right up next to the stage, and I didn't think I was going to get one good shot, but boom.
Yeah, absolutely. Billy Stritch is going to be on our show next week. Clea is coming on in a couple of weeks, and Ann Hampton Calloway is going to be on with us this Friday on the show. Looking forward to all these wonderful guests that are joining us here. That is a brilliant, brilliant shot. Here's another one too.
Karen Akers.
Yeah.
Yes. Karen Akers was performing at the Beach Cafe, and I sent one of my writers to review her show. He's been my friend for 30 years. My close friend Brady Schwind has been writing with me, and he went to see the show, and they had technical difficulties, and he called me up and he said, "We're going back in 3 weeks, and you're going with me because she's so amazing." And so I got to do the pictures, and he got to write the story.
Really, really nice. I love the backstory, and I know I'm seeing a lot of comments coming in from people watching around the world here. They're loving the backstory to all of these photos, capturing people, as they're expressing themselves through their art with such great joy. Kathleen Turner as well, famous legendary actress.
Kathleen Turner changed my life.
She did, really?
Yeah, I had been working on the sweater book, and I had reached a certain level of celebrity, but I needed one really big movie star to get me to the next level, and Kathleen Turner agreed to be in the sweater book. And after she said yes, I got Glenn Close and Anthony LaPaglia, and she really made all the difference in my trajectory.
That's fantastic. And again, you really captured her doing her thing. Everybody's saying, very nice photos, amazing shot, beautiful, amazing photos. You sure you want to stay retired with the photography? Got a lot of people who are enjoying it. Wow, and lovely, and love the stories behind the photos, which always is a beautiful thing when you get a chance to know what was happening during the time and the things that have resulted after the photos were actually taken. We've got some more here for you, folks. The one and only Alice, better known, of course, as Linda Lavin. Remember her on Alice in the 70s sitcom and so much more. Linda Lavin. Tell us about that.
So Linda Lavin is, I'm a diehard Linda Lavin fan, and she was performing with the great Billy Stritch at Birdland. And I was so starstruck by her that I'd forgotten that I hadn't taken any pictures. So I started scrambling to get pictures of the show, and Birdland is a little dimly lit. And so I was really scared that I wasn't going to have anything to work with. But as you can see here, we really got one. So I love her.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Incredible work. You capture their essence. Absolutely. Only the best here on the Jim Masters Show Live, viewers. I've always told you that. And we are delivering again tonight with my wonderful friend and guest here, Stephen Mosher. Here's the very talented and extraordinary guitarist, musician, Sean Harkness. There's a great shot there too, huh?
Have you seen him live?
I love watching you looking at the photos. It's almost like you're reliving and remembering when you took them in the scenarios, huh?
I love these people. I have such love in my heart for these artists. I've never met Sean Harkness. I go see all his shows and I watch his fingers. It's like watching Baryshnikov, you know?
Yes. Yes. So tell us about, this scenario. Where was he? What was happening?
This was, he was playing for someone's Christmas show. I think that it was Kevin Dozier's Christmas show. And I don't know. There's something so magical that happens when you're watching a Sean Harkness performance.
Yeah.
Because there are no lyrics, you know. It's just the music and his fingers,
It's instrumental. Yeah.
and yet these wells of emotions come out of you. It really speaks to the power of music.
Yes.
And the power that musicians have over what we experience every day.
Music is not only wonderful, but it's also healing as well, as we all know. And here's another great shot here. It's Tova. Wow.
Tova Feldschuh. Tova is, I don't know. What do you say about Tova? She's my bishop. I love this woman. She's one of the greats, one of the great actresses, one of the great people. And if you haven't ever seen Tova do her club act, you should, because it's like she puts on this show with all these different characters. It's exhausting. I don't know how actors do this. You know, it's exhausting to think of what she has to put herself through to do 80-minute club act.
I tell you, yeah, and that's at 54 below. It looks like, right? You captured her there at 54 below.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. We've got some more for you, folks. Yes, we put together a nice, beautiful collage here of great photos. Here is the incomparable Glenn Close. What a great shot here.
This was shot for the sweater book, but it wasn't the picture that we used. We used a picture that was much more accessible and friendly. But the truth is that when Glenn saw the contact sheet, she sent me a note telling me that she actually preferred these pictures with her hands on her face, but that I could use whatever I wanted. We really felt that it was necessary for people looking at the book to see a friendly, accessible, warm, and loving Glenn. But I'm kind of with her. I love the drama here.
Yes, right, exactly. Yeah, it's a great. Her expressions are so deep all the time, just really brilliant. And I mentioned one of my favorite, Dame Judi Dench. This is a family shot. I love this. Tell us about this.
This picture is one of the pictures of my career. I had tried for many years to get Jude to pose for me, and each time that I was coming to London, she was out of town. And I would write to her and say, would you be in the sweater book? And she'd write back and say, I'm not in town. And so when she came to New York for Amy's View, this was right after she won the Oscar, I wrote to her at the theater and I said, you're here, I'm here. Could we please do a picture for one of my books? And they called and said that her family was arriving from England and she'd like to do a family portrait over at the hotel. And they gave me the phone number. And I called up and, this voice said, hello. And I said, I'm calling Judi Dench. She says, Stephen, I absolutely adore your photos. And she had me in the palm of her hand. And we spent about an hour with them. And when our friends found out that I was going to be working with Jude, friends brought bouquets of flowers over. We actually showed up at her hotel with a box full of vases filled with flowers from fans. So one of my favorites. And I love that Sammy is looking right at the camera.
Yes, right. Isn't that perfect?
Yeah.
You just see the real love there as well. Some wonderful comments here. Stunning photos and Tova Krasova and wow. And happy birthday.
Thank you.
You even got a happy birthday from my mother in Florida. She wishes you happy birthday. Yeah, they're in Florida. And Sam and his grandmother are hilarious online right now.
Yeah, yeah. Sam and Jude do a lot of fun videos online.
And stunning photos, and the heart of Stephen is so readily visible in the photos and heard in the stories and words that he shares of his personal experiences with the multitude of people that he has captured over the years. You know, being a storyteller, which I am as well, is a beautiful thing when you get a chance to do that and you get to express it through your work. And connect with people and inspire people. I love doing it, and I know you do as well. And we truly are the lucky ones, aren't we,
Yes,
Stephen? We're the lucky ones.
absolutely. I feel very honored to
Yeah.
do the work that I do. You
Me
know,
too. Me too. Here's another favorite, the one and only Maud Finley, or in this case, B. Arthur. I love this shot.
so this is not the picture of B that ended up in the sweater book. I used a picture that I felt was much more flattering, but years later, while scanning in negatives from 4 decades worth of photography, I found this one, and I just felt like the connection between her eyes and the camera was very strong. So this is the one that I like now.
And what was the scenario here? What was she doing? Was she in a makeup room or something behind the set or something? It looks like she's preparing.
So we were in, I was in Los Angeles working, and she was doing a play, and a friend of mine said to me, "Hey, I ran into B. Arthur at the gym today." And I said, "B. Arthur was at the gym?" And he says, "I told her about your book, and she wants you to give her a call today and arrange a photo shoot." And so about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I called her up, and she answers the phone. And I said, "Hi, I'm calling B. Arthur." And she said, "Now listen, what is this going to take?
Yeah.
I have to put on makeup. I don't want to put on makeup. Look, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm still in my nightie. Please don't make me put on makeup." And I said, I hear that you're in a play in Beverly Hills." She said, "Yes." And I said, "Would you like me to come to the theater and photograph you after the play tomorrow night so that you'll already be in makeup?" She said, "I would love that."
Mm-hmm.
So what you're looking at is B. Arthur in her dressing room after the show.
Yeah.
And she had softened the makeup because the makeup was very heavy. She had softened the makeup, but her hair was messy because she had on a wig. So she decided to hide her hair with the sweater.
And it created a whole other, you know what I mean? It looks like she's caressing something. She's thinking about something. You know what I mean? It turned out to be a shot, just the way her expression is, and of course the coloration, the black and white, and the lighting. But it's almost like she's caressing like a newborn baby or something, just in the way that she's caressing that blanket.
I love the vulnerability of this photo.
It has that, right? That's exactly what I saw in her eyes, right? And you know, some of the characters that she's played over the years in Golden Girls, and of course Maud and many others, she was always more of a stronger figure. But they say, I've always heard that in real life she was actually shy, and she was very kind and loving person, but she wasn't as bold in person as she played when she was on Maud or Golden Girls. She was much of a shyer person, very family oriented, and very a quieter person. But when you were on set with her, she created a set that was very loving and warm with all the other characters.
I've heard the same thing. And
Yeah.
she was very kind to us. And I'll tell you what, I could see how tired she was. And we did the photo shoot in less than a minute. And when I said we're finished, she said, "Thank you for making that so short."
Mm-hmm.
And then she gave me a lozenge.
And did she say, "God will get you for that, Stephen"?
No, she did not. I would have loved to do that. Or at least one good Shady Pines, Ma.
That's right. Yes, great pictures to showcase the experience from Marianne Kelly. Austin Field says, "Cool getting the Arthur." Kathleen, I love bringing the viewers in. I'm a very viewer-centric communal person as a host. Kathleen Walker, nice photos as well. And but wait, folks, there's more. Incredible. And it was a sad loss. And our I'm sure a mutual friend of yours as well, David Friedman, of course, had a wonderful relationship with her, and just recently had released a good deal of all of her music. He worked on a public television documentary about her life. We're talking about Nancy Lamont, of course, queen of cabaret for so many years. That's a beautiful shot of her.
Thank you. That's one of my favorites. This was my girlfriend. She was my close friend. What I love about this picture is when I look at this picture, I see her eyes looking right at me. You know, we were good buds. So I'm very, very proud of the association I had with her.
It's a beautiful shot, beautiful, and I love the reflection too. You capture beautifully that reflection. Gone too soon, absolutely. The one and only Cher. That's a cool shot. Tell us about that one, Stephen.
I am.
Yeah.
Cher was singing at the Pier Dance one year at Gay Pride, and so I got there early, and I got my place right at the foot of the stage, and I didn't dance, I didn't drink, I didn't do anything fun. I waited the 4 hours for Cher to come out. I took my pictures, and I said, "I'm done."
A true professional.
Thank you.
And what was the show she was performing in?
So every year for Gay Pride, they have a huge circuit party on the pier called Pier Dance.
Oh, okay.
And, this year was Cher's year. Deborah Cox was her opener, and so I got pictures of my two beautiful divas.
Really, really cool shot. And we have another one. She's wonderful. I've had an opportunity to chat with her in the past when she was in The Visit. That was short-lived, but that was a great, great show on Broadway. Cheetah Rivera.
I got to photograph Cheetah rehearsing a number for a Dancers Responding to AIDS benefit. And somebody asked me if I wanted to meet Cheetah before the shoot. And I said, no, I don't want to meet her before the shoot. I can meet her afterward. And to get to photograph Cheetah Rivera dancing is the thrill of a lifetime. And afterward, somebody said, come over and say hi to Cheetah. And she had seen me with now this was shot on film. This is not a digital picture. So, you know, you had to really get the shutter speed and the aperture and everything perfect. And so they took me over to say hi to Cheetah, and she saw me coming with the camera. And as soon as I got close, she's, now listen, I don't care what anybody else looks like. I want to look perfect. And I said, I promise you. So
you could write a book on probably the amount of times you've heard people say that to you quietly.
You want to know who was the least vain person? It was Kathleen Turner. After we did her photo shoot for the sweater book, I was having her sign the release form, and I told her, we're going to give you the contact sheets. You can kill all the pictures you want. We can retouch all the pictures that you want. And she says, you know, I'm really not that vain.
You're in the voiceover booth, and you're pulling out all the great voices, too.
Can I have this career?
That's what I was going to say. Here's another great. Wow. Tell us about that one, Daphne.
That is Daphne Rubin Vega. And we were just having some fun together. We worked together a few times. I did some headshots for her a few times. But on this occasion, she had this brand new haircut and it was all glam. And so she came over and, you know, they beat her mug and they whooped her hair and she got all glam. And all these pictures I have of her they go back to the George Hurrell style of photos, and they were going to be in one of my new books. And, you know, those books all got backburnered. So I got all these gorgeous pictures of Daphne that nobody gets to see.
Yeah. Till now. And here's another one. Deborah Cox.
That was shot 2 hours before the Cher show. Yeah, this woman I love so much, and I go see her anytime she's in town. And this is one of the several times that I photographed her, but I think it's the only time I photographed her live.
Great shot. I like the way is that one of the lights? Is that the light reflecting, not the sun, but that's the backlight they're reflecting off, creating that sort of almost glowy look from her hair above her shoulder, which is kind of cool.
It is, in fact, their light. It is not the sun.
Yeah, it's the actual light doing that. Really, really cool. And we just lost her not that long ago, the incomparable Diane Carroll.
Diane Carroll she was touring with a show of Alan J. Lerner music, and they had me go out to Jersey to photograph the show during one of their last rehearsals. So I got to move around the theater and photograph it from many different angles. Sadly, did not get to meet Diane Carroll because I adored her. She was one of my favorites, but at least I got to photograph her.
That's right. It's in the history books as well. Have all the people you photographed, have they seen the photographs that you've done, or are there some where you captured them, but they never got a chance or haven't yet had a chance to see the photograph you shot of them?
There are people that have not seen the pictures I took of them. And there are people that I have photographed that forgot about it. I have my personal copy of the sweater book that when I can, when it's convenient, I will take with me to a performance and see if I can catch the person afterward and ask them to sign my yearbook. And when Stockard Channing was doing Pal Joey on Broadway, we saw the show and I waited at the stage door afterward. And it's years after we did the picture for the sweater book. And she was at the stage door signing autographs and saying hi to people. And she came over to me and I had my sweater book and my Sharpie and I handed it to her and she says, "What am I wearing?" And I reminded her what we were talking about. And, she signed it. She was very, very sweet. But it actually happens a lot that people don't know that these gorgeous pictures of them are out there. It would be nice to get them to them, but it can be difficult. People move around a lot, and I haven't been good at staying in touch with people.
Merlin in Innerkip, Ontario, Canada asks, do you prefer black and white or colored photos?
Black and white.
Black and white, yeah.
I do love color pictures. I love working in color, but I think when you're working in black and white, when you're looking at a black and white picture, you can really see what's happening in the picture because your eye is not distracted by the color red or, anything else. You're looking at the picture.
Right, exactly. Do you like when they colorize? I mean, they've really come a long way with it, but do you like when they colorize some of the TV shows from the past? They've been doing that lately. I saw the other night they colorized a couple of episodes of the Dick Van Dyke Show, and I know that they said, again, as a TV person myself, I love finding out all these different nuances behind the scenes. They said that when they went, it was painstaking to colorize it because they actually matched everything color-wise with what it was when it was shot. The couches, the drapes, the sweaters, the jackets, the lampshades, everything, when they colorized it, matched the original colors of what it would have been in color if it had aired that way on CBS. And it was painstaking for them to do the colorization. Do you like when certain things are colorized better than others? I remember when the Miracle on 34th Street was colorized at first. It didn't seem so great. They've enhanced it since. But I don't know if I would like to see the Twilight Zone colorized.
I think that when, and I'm glad that they had such care in their work that they will painstakingly colorize it. But in all that time that you're colorizing something old, you could be making something new. I think that it is disrespectful to the original artists. God, I sound like such an old fuddy-duddy, don't I? But I really do think that if we wanted to see the Dick Van Dyke Show in black and white, in color, we would create it in our minds. We would watch the black and white, and it's always going to look better in your mind anyway, right? I just think that leave it alone and go work on something new.
I know they did that with I Love Lucy with some of the episodes as well. They colorized the Christmas episode and some of the others. There's just something about the black and white that, can you imagine seeing? Well, I think they did that too. They colorized the Honeymooners, I think, and some of something about the black and white that they just captured the time and the essence. And like with the Twilight Zone, the shadowing and all of that is really important. And that sort of goes away when it's colorized. You just all of a sudden, you don't see the shadowing and the silhouettes and all the nuances of all that, which are very important to the storyline and to, you know, the impact of what they're trying to say and make you feel, especially with something like a Twilight Zone. If it was colorized, that would disappear.
Imagine the movie Psycho in color.
Right, right, exactly.
No,
Not quite.
no.
Some more beautiful shots here. Let's see, Donna Murphy.
I was doing a book called The Book of New York, and I was photographing people in their favorite places around the city and asking them why that was their favorite place. And Donna picked the Delacorte Theater, and we got there so late that the sun was setting, and I thought that there wouldn't be enough light to get the pictures, and obviously they came out great. I really do wish that book had moved forward. It was beautiful shots, some beautiful New York locations.
Yeah, really, really, really nice. And I mentioned earlier Helen Reddy. I met her actually when I was in college. And Carole King and Petula Clark. There's quite a threesome there, huh? Tell us about this particular shot, Stephen.
This is one of my favorite things ever. Each of these women acted on Broadway in a musical called Blood Brothers. And I think Petula had done it first, then Carole, and then Helen. And during the run of the show, their doorman died, and his family was left with huge expenses. And so the entire cast of the show and cast members who had left the show put on this huge benefit to raise money for his family. And when I read about this, I don't really remember who I called, but I found out who was putting it on, and I called them and I pestered them until they finally said that I could be the photographer to capture the event. So to get to photograph these three women together at one time, for me, is one of the most important things I ever did.
I mean, that is really, really, you've captured them in such a wonderful way. And for our Australian audience, you can see Helen Reddy there from Australia. And we have a number of people that watch from Australia as well. And there's one, Eileen Barker, I think she had commented earlier. She said, I love this. She's wishing you a happy birthday. Hello, Ripper. That's one of her phrases. We're having a ripper of a time. So we now have incorporated that into our broadcast. Do you ever get to Australia? She wants to know if you ever get to Australia. Have you been to Australia?
I have not been to Australia, and it's one of the places on my list.
Me too. Yeah.
I have dear, beautiful friends in Australia that I'm dying to see, but I'm not going there today.
No, that's right. Exactly. Jennifer Lopez, J-Lo. Tell us about that.
Do you remember the story about Cher?
Yes.
So it was the same thing. A friend of mine named Guy Smith was doing the lighting for the Pure Dance, and he told me a week before it was announced that Jennifer Lopez was the headliner. So I got there super early, and I had my husband and some friends with me, and we were right up against the stage. By the time Jennifer Lopez came out, the crowd creep had gotten so big that I was pushed right up against the foot of the stage. So my husband and my friends made a Secret Service circle around me so that I could stand still and take my pictures of J-Lo. They literally formed a circle to protect me from the people that were trying to get to the stage.
That's a great shot. Look at the smile. I tell you, she loves what she does, and you can see that. Here's a nice shot here too. Joanna Gleason. Tell us about this one.
So Johanna Gleason is a really dear friend of mine.
Yeah.
And she was throwing a party up in her home in Connecticut, and she asked me if I would come give her a hand and if I would bring my camera. And so we were just taking some pictures of them goofing around in the kitchen. This is a very silly couple. I'm sure you know them. They're a very silly, loving couple. And
does this not almost look like it's? It almost looks like it's a remake of the cover of Love Story, a little bit. That's what I first see. I see Ryan and Allie. That's what I see.
I'm going to have to split screen that and see. No, this was taken in their kitchen, and what I did was I removed everything. I took out the background so that it was just white. They were dancing.
Oh, they were dancing. So that's nice. That's dancing a good shot.
They're so in love.
And then a glorious person that we had on as my guest last night, who I've always enjoyed the company of, and I know you do as well, is Karen.
So this is one of my
Karen,
favorite
Karen
pictures.
Mason.
Yeah, Karen Mason. I've made some really, really great pictures with Karen Mason, and she was doing a CD called "When the Sun Comes Out," and so this was done in my home, and I put her in the window and I sprayed it down from the outside, and I'm hanging on the fire escape. I'm literally hanging off the fire escape, leaning
Yeah.
back, taking the picture and leaning back like this, and she's inside the window going, "Oh, fuck me, he's gonna fall. Please don't fall, please don't fall." And ultimately, this did not get to be the cover of the CD.
And you lived to tell the story.
I did get to tell the story. The cover of the CD is gorgeous, but
That's
so
what they call going the extra mile, literally.
yeah,
That's a great shot.
I will go the extra mile to get the right picture of Karen Mason.
Well, and thank you very much for those wonderful comments that you sent along today, Stephen, about my conversation with Karen last night on the show. I really appreciate that. And I'm glad you enjoyed that show last night.
A good show last night.
I appreciate that. Now, we also have, in addition to all these wonderful photos that you sent along, we have some video that we want to share with our audience. Oh, before that, tell us about this. This is you in action as well. I mentioned this in the introduction, but what was happening there? Were you at the Metropolitan Room or 54? Where were you there?
So I stopped acting by the time I was 24. And I never, ever intended to go back on a stage, but I have done once in a while. In 2017, I had an emergency surgery that left me in recovery for several weeks. And it left me thinking about the things that I had never done. And I spent my entire life afraid of singing in public because so many horrible people in my life had told me what a crappy singer I was. So when I came out of the hospital, I said, you know what? I'm going to do this just so that I can say that I did it. So I have no intention of being a performer, but I did a club act at Don't Tell Mama for 5 performances, 1 in 2017 and 4 a year later. And I sort of did it, got it out of my system, proved to those jerks that said you're a bad singer that I wasn't, and done. Check it off.
Yeah. And what was the feedback? Did people really enjoy it? Were they surprised by the voice? Was the comments, positive?
So after the first one that I did, I thought I was done. And for a year, people kept saying, that was so good. You've got to do it again. You've got to do it again. And that's why I did 4 more. And I'll tell you something, after doing the first of those 4 performances, I came home and said to Pat, how do I get out of this? How do I get out of doing these next 3 shows?
The fear came back?
It's so exhausting. It's so exhausting. You go up on the stage for, 60, 70, 80 minutes, and it's all you. It's so, how do they remember the words? How do they do it? But the cosmic purpose for my having done this is because right after doing those 4 shows, Robert Diamond asked me to come on board at BroadwayWorld. And so it gave me a frame of reference for how to approach my work as a cabaret journalist, for how to look for who to write about and how to review people in a positive way, how to support the artist, how to support the community, how to bring cabaret to the cabaret going public, and how to let people know that your show is good, but it's not working right here without being mean.
Right.
Having done that show is the cosmic reason, that it all worked out for me. I did that show and it made me a better cabaret reporter.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you got over the fear of performing in that way in public. So if anybody ever said, here's the mic, can you sing something? Will you grab it and go now?
Yeah.
Say, yeah. So a lot of things happened to you. It was a life-changing moment to do that for you, actually.
Yeah. And all it took was, 1 emergency surgery and 4 weeks in bed.
Isn't that amazing how that's how it usually works? Not when you perfectly plan it out, because then you overthink it,
Yeah.
then you're like, oh, and the fear takes over. But this
I
was
wrote
just,
the book on overthinking things.
yeah, I know how that is too. And Karen and I were talking about that last night, that sometimes you just have to go out and just do it. When you overplan, we've done that where, overplan even a vacation. We're going to 4 o'clock here, 1 o'clock there, 2 o'clock. Next one, didn't do any of that, just got in the car or just did whatever, saw whatever it was that we saw as we go along. And it's much more enjoyable when you can take all of that off. And I think that comes from being in these industries that we're in, Stephen, where everything is structured and formatted and timed, and there's deadlines and there's creativity, and you're striving for perfection, striving for excellence. And, there's this third eye of vision and thinking and depth and all these scenarios and variables that are involved in it that can really overtake just doing it, right? And sometimes when you just do it, it's like, my God, why didn't I just do that before? All that overthinking and prep and planning and formatting and rewriting and redoing that stopped everything, or just made the whole experience longer, more drawn out, and not as pleasurable. You come to think, why didn't I just take the darn thing and just run with it? And sometimes you have to, right?
Overthinking takes the humanity out of every experience.
Yes, right. Exactly right.
Okay.
Well, I just said 14 pages of script and you said one sentence and it summed it up.
It's a gift. I'm born with it.
That's it. That's it. That's what it's all about. Just taking it all and just celebrating it. A couple more photos here, and then I want to show the videos as well, and you can share this with us as well. And yeah, I'm known for, I don't know about you, but I'm known for my voicemails are very long. My emails are long. My texts are long. And the reason why is because I'm talking to the person as if they're in the room. So the way I'm describing everything in a text, email, or a voicemail is if I'm speaking to you, and I try to give the person all the information up front so they have everything they need, so they don't have to keep coming back with the different questions and I don't understand it. It's all spelled out. But then
texts?
Huh?
Do you dictate when you text?
No. I just run with it.
Yeah, I dictate texts and I include the punctuation. And now when I leave somebody a voicemail, I include the punctuation.
And how many times do you re-record the voicemail before you're happy with it?
Yeah, just blah, 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 go. Yeah.
Maybe it's my announcing background or on-air background. I will, if the inflection isn't the way I want it, and the articulation and the bullet point, I will re-record it 5, 6, 7 times before I got it all in and I'm done with it. And I'm in the middle or midstream. You've run out of space. Would you like to save it or re-record it? I'm like, oh my God, I'm on 10 minutes of hello.
If I were a voiceover artist, I would be doing that.
I was going to say, I didn't even tell them what the point of the call was. I'm still, how's your day? I hope you're doing well. It's sunny. I know. I wish that we could do voicemail messages by the word, because you get paid by the word. That would be kind of cool. But it's really funny, Stephen, is when I do a long text, because I try to, again, give all the information. Could be the journalistic background too, but I try to give all the information as clearly as possible in a text. And one of my colleagues does this, one of my TV colleagues, I'll write the Gettysburg Address, and then the response will be K, as in okay, as in okay. And I'm like, wait a minute, I can't even get the O with the K. Can you at least give me the okay? You're just giving me the K after I just wrote the Gettysburg Address explaining the scenario and how we're going to do it and how we're going to make it easier and how we're going to, and I don't even get the okay. I just get the K.
Yeah. It's greedy. It's stingy.
Just the K, I tell you. Well, oh, is that hot tea you got in there?
Yes.
Nice.
5 tea a day.
Oh yeah. It's so good for the vocal cords, and it's just good for mind, body, and spirit. Here's another great shot, Stephen. Tell us about this one here.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know you had this picture.
Yes, I do my research. Yes.
Okay, so that's Pat, my husband. And on my to the left of me is George Takei, and
Yeah.
to the right of
Star
Pat is
Trek.
Brad
Yeah.
Takei. This was taken at the premiere of our film, Married and Counting. Married and Counting is a documentary by Alan Piper. It was taken before there was nationwide marriage equality. And so we, for our 25th anniversary together, went to every state where it was legal and we got married. And Alan and his wife, Jennifer Houston, followed us with their cameras and they turned it into a film. And George Takei came on board as the narrator of the film. And this was done when the movie came out in, I want to say 2013, but I could be wrong about that.
Really, really nice. I love it.
Else. This is the day that I met George and Brad. George had done the voiceover out in Los Angeles, and we didn't get to meet. And he and Brad came in at the premiere at the last minute. And when the film was over, I was standing at the back of the theater, and George came running up the aisle and threw his arms around me and said, "I am so proud of us." And that was one of the moments that you remember. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. A lot of nice comments coming in. Aaron says, this is wonderful. Pat says, me too. I do several takes of my voicemails, so I guess I'm not alone. Pat does the same thing. Re-record until it's delivering the content the way you want it to be, with the articulation and inflection. And Stephen, is the reason my daughter is becoming a photographer. Mel Lane says that. That's very inspiring to hear that, isn't it, Stephen?
Thanks, Melody.
Yeah. Dorian says the storyteller was a wonderful show. Stephen was brilliant. John Buccino, who's going to be joining us in a couple of weeks as a guest as well. Hi, Stephen and Jim. Enjoying your chat so much. Merlin wants to know, what is your favorite song? Do you have a favorite song that pops up for you?
I Shall Be Released. Yeah, that's it.
Christine Fairwoods, I imagine she's referring to you, a young Yul Brynner.
I'll take it. Thank you.
Yeah. Really, really nice. And let's see, his voice is beautiful. They're talking about you. Having heard the voice, I had the privilege of hearing him sing before he moved to New York. And great interview. So looking forward. And a lot of great comments coming in. I'm just looking at all of these here. Good stuff. So I want to show another photo here that tells a story. Now, this is the cover of Lived in Crazy. Tell us about, again, this book and the premise and so much more.
So for years after the creation of the sweater book, people would say to me, have you thought about doing a memoir? You could tell the story about how you created the sweater book. You could tell all the stories about all the celebrities. And since nobody read my blog, I didn't think anybody would want to read my memoir. But I don't know. Then one day I got to thinking about some of the really, really weird ass shit that has happened to me. My grandmother and my grandfather and Edith Head and Mae West and Mom and Dad and the circus. And, I decided what I would do is I would go ahead and write a memoir, and I would keep the chapters real short because nobody has an attention span anymore.
No, they don't.
I think the longest chapter is 8 pages. And every other chapter would be about a celebrity photo shoot. And every other chapter would be a personal story. And so in Lived in Crazy, we go through all of my crazy careers, some of the crazy mistakes that I've made. I've made so many. The book is so long. And then the stories about the sweater book. And what you see on the cover here is the camera to represent my life as a photographer, the dumbbell to represent my life as a personal trainer. I'm holding the sweater book, and on top of the sweater book, you'll see a glass of scotch and some recreational drugs. And when the book came out, my former editor from Edge magazine called me up and he said, "Is that a bumper on the cover of your book?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Did you leave anything out of this book?" And I said, "No, if you're going to tell the truth, you should really tell the truth." So I do go into my struggles with addiction and alcohol, and everybody who knows me knows that I'm happily sober now, but that happiness doesn't get shared unless people know what came before it.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that's why it's aptly named Lived in Crazy. And it's very inspiring for others, I'm sure, who might be going through something similar in their lives too. And they're inspired by your story. Here's another one as well.
That's the poster from Married and Counting. We had such a good time making that movie. It was really one of the happiest times of our life.
Mm.
Yeah.
And available. Annalisa, good to see you, Annalisa. Welcome to the Jim Master Show Live. Married and Counting is available on Amazon, and
I think we're on iTunes.
But at least I got to go to the Austin premiere of Married and Counting as well.
Yes.
Yes. And the Moving to New York story is still one of my favorites as well. Very, very cool. And we have some video we want to share with everybody as well that we have gathered here. Let's take a look at this. Now, this one here, we're going to start with this guy. And this is your mother.
It's my mom.
Your mother. Do you want to set it up for us?
My mother appears in the movie Lived in Crazy for about that long. And when we did the festival circuit, she was the star. She was the breakout because of this scene. I'm not kidding. This is as much time as my mother has in the movie. And then she's seen briefly at the wedding in Washington, D.C. on the steps of the Supreme Court when Pat puts the ring on my finger. She got this huge smile on her face. And that's it. And so in Austin, there was a Q&A, and my mother was there, and they had me and Pat on the stage, and somebody asked a question about my mother, and I said, she's here. They cheered and made us bring her up on the stage so that they could ask her questions. So this is the scene that made my mother a star.
The scene that made his mother a star. She made you, and then you made her a star. There's a theme there.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Absolutely. Love to our mothers. And if you're just joining us, everybody, it is just about the top of the hour. I'll go into my broadcasting mode. Jim Masters here. We are live worldwide on the Jim Masters Show Live on YouTube and on Facebook at Jim Masters TV, 7 p.m. And that is Eastern, 4 p.m. is Pacific, nightly. My very special guest from BroadwayWorld, cabaret editor, celebrity photographer. He's also a personal trainer and so much more. Stephen Mosher. And now it's time for Stephen's executive producer, which I call my parents my actual executive producers, his mom. My real executive producers are our parents because they produced us. Here we go.
People who wave their Bibles need to read it more. If you believe in God and Jesus Christ, then you know that we're all God's children. Stephen and Pat are God's children. He would not turn them out. He made them the way they are. I try my very best to live the golden rule, and I don't know why people can't leave my son alone and do the same. He's my son, and I love him.
I sure do love you. I love you too.
You know, you said she was only in for that amount, but that amount was quite impactful.
Yeah, that's my ma'am.
How does it make you feel when you see her and you hear her saying those things?
I am so lucky in the relationship that I have with this extraordinary woman. She is everything good that I am, you know? And hearing her voice always makes me happy, seeing her face. I'm very, very lucky that I have video footage of her to last me the rest of my life. I'm very proud.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Exactly. And you can look at that again and again and again. Here's another shot. We'll show it and then we will talk about it. It's more video. And here's Stephen doing his thing. We'll be right back and we'll talk about it right after we watch it. Enjoy, everybody.
Your favorite boy singer-songwriter, Dan Tracy.
Come up here with me. Come up here with me. All right. I want to sing with you. All right. There. Are we in the light? Are we in the light?
Come into the light.
Yes.
Dan, do you remember when we used to cater together?
How could you ever forget?
Yeah. Do you remember one day when I called you and I was in a really, really, really bad mood?
Buddy, you gotta be more specific.
Wow.
I called him up one day. I was like, I hate my life. I hate catering. I hate it so much. So we hang up the phone, and like 2 minutes later, you sent me a message that had a song attached to it. So I never told you this, but I always believed that you wrote that song on the spot to cheer me up. Even though I got the message 2 minutes later, and the song is 3.5 minutes long. And to this day, in my heart, I believe that you wrote that song to cheer me up.
Say yes.
Yeah, I mean, I work fast.
Let's do it. You wrote this. People say cut your hair, I say oh okay. People say lose some weight, I say whatever you say. I smile, I'm a smile, and then I'm on my way. 'Cause they ain't gonna tell me how to live my day. People used to try and make fun of me if I ever said something with which they didn't agree. And it's really too bad those people just can't see. It takes at least 2 notes to make a harmony. So I hear you've been feeling bad. Well, I sure hate to see you sad. Well, I'm sure you probably felt better, and I know you're still a go-getter, but sometimes life's gonna get you down. So slow, that's it, easy does it, 'cause you know you're gonna rise above it. And sometimes life is so much easier when you smile. I hate to see somebody who's feeling blue, especially somebody who's a friend like you. 'Cause then in a moment I will feel blue too, and I wish that there was something I could do. Maybe you tripped and you fell flat on your face. Maybe you spilled your cereal all over the place. You see, people got problems, but whatever the case, it's up to you to let them take up space. If today hasn't gone your way, by tomorrow it will have been yesterday. Well, I'm sure you probably felt better, and I know you're still a go-getter, but sometimes life's gonna get you down. So slow, that's it, easy does it, 'cause you know you're gonna rise above it. And sometimes life is so much easier when you smile. And somewhere somebody's busted too, somebody just like you. Don't you know that some things never change? You don't have to run away, you can make your own sunny days. Just wash that doom and gloom off in the rain. Because gloomy's not your style, so let me see that smile. I look a bit funny, well, I'm not that smart. There's plenty folks better than me, take you for a start. But I'm doing just fine because I take it to heart that sometimes life is so much easier when you smile. Ooh, I can't do that. I'm going to try. Ooh.
You did it. Can you do it now?
Oh. I
Right,
can't
exactly.
do it. I
That's
don't know why. It's so simple. I can't do it.
So tell us about that scenario there. That was wonderful.
So in The Storyteller, I spent like 80 minutes telling stories about my life. And I had my entire band was close, dear friends. And Dan, who is my music making bestie, he would just come over and get his guitar and play, and we would sing. And we discovered that we had this kind of symbiotic connection. And he is a songwriter, and he writes great songs. He's my favorite boy singer-songwriter. My favorite girl singer-songwriter, Jennifer Houston, was also in the show with me. And Dan wrote that song, and we went through his catalog of songs, and I said, I want to sing that. And so we rehearsed a couple times, and boom. And it always got a really good response from the audience because it's a great song, and he's very charming.
Mm. Yeah. It looked like you had a lot of fun, too.
Yeah. His after his girlfriend came to see one of the performances, and afterwards she came up to me. She says, "He doesn't look at me like that when he sings to me."
And you said,
"It's a bad bromance."
That's it, right? So tell us about the work that you do at Broadway World, and which is great because that's a wonderful place to be. And with everything that we're all doing, working out of our homes and home studios and home offices, I've been doing a lot of the home studio as well, on air work and hosting and different things, professional work, and this show. You've been doing that as well. Tell us about a day in the life of Stephen Mosher at Broadway World.
So last summer, Robert Diamond, who I had met in passing at a party a few years earlier, he and his wife, Jennifer Halley, were at a 4th of July party at my friend's house, Kevin and Christopher. And we met, we liked each other, we became Facebook friends. And I, as a frustrated writer, have tended to use Facebook as my sounding ground. And one day I ended up writing for a website called Hotchka, reviewing theater and film and TV and cabaret. And several months later, Rob Diamond sent me a message that said, "Would you have coffee with me?" And we went for coffee, and he said, "I'm about to lose my cabaret editor, and I think I'd like you to take over. Do you think that you could do that?" And I said, "Have you read anything that I've written?" And he said, "I read everything you write." And I said, "Then you know that I'm voluble. I'm really verbose." And he said, "That's fine, as long as it's good." And I said, "Well, if you are looking for somebody to be your new cabaret editor and head writer, not only do I think I can do it, I think that I can help the community." For a long time, and I've lived in New York now for 27 years, I think. For a long time, people have been saying cabaret is dead, cabaret is dying, cabaret is a dying art. And I just never really thought that was true. Cabaret is not dead. Cabaret is not dying. Cabaret was just shoved in a corner and being generally ignored and taken for granted. And what cabaret needed was somebody with a big spotlight and a platform. And thanks to Robert Diamond and Broadway World, I was given that opportunity. And so I promised Rob that I would be in a club at least 6 nights a week because I work in a gym on Thursday nights. And I was able to do that. And so I began looking for every kind of act that I could go see, the singers and the comics and the drag shows and the burlesque shows. And if I could find one, I would go see a magic show or a ventriloquist act. And I managed to get some really beautiful writers working with us. And in the time between I started in August and March 13th, which is the day that I went into quarantine, I think we managed to really heighten the awareness of the beautiful cabaret community and the artistry that is available there. And then the quarantine hit. And all those artists are now stuck at home. And, in the first couple of weeks, people started doing Facebook Live concerts and Instagram Live concerts. And, when we got into week 4, people were having to find ways to make money. And get people to tip via Venmo and PayPal. And I have made it my ambition to try and put something out there every day. I don't always succeed. Last week I had a really slow news week, and I was having some tech issues at home, so I missed a few days. But I want to get interviews and stories and CD reviews. And if somebody's doing a concert that they're charging money for and they want it reviewed, I'll review it. I want to keep the spotlight on the cabaret artists for as long as we can. I want to help them. You know, it's a new day in cabaret. It's a new, you know, there is really interesting stuff happening everywhere. And with the capabilities that Zoom rooms and well, I mean, look what you've done with your own show. You know, we have an opportunity. These artists can reach global audiences. People in England that aren't it. You have guests in Australia tonight. You know, we can bring cabaret to the world and vice versa. And I think that I've got a good platform and a good visibility to help them do that. You know, so that's, as you can tell, I'm very passionate about this. And that's why I think I was the right guy for the job. That's why Rob asked me. I think Rob saw that and said, you are the one. So,
which is nice.
That's the long answer.
And why do you enjoy it so much?
I love theater. I love story.
And I'm glad you took the sip, because what a lot of people do is, as they're bringing the glass, it's funny when you watch some of the older talk shows, they were just about to take the sip. The person asks the question, and then they put the glass back down. They never end up drinking what's in the mug or the glass. You grabbed that sip, which was good.
I told you I was valuable, and I've got to lubricate. I've got to keep it. I love storytelling in all forms.
I love it. Yeah,
all its forms. And the thing is, it's like I discovered with myself. I didn't want to be an actor. I didn't want to write fiction. I want to have my voice. And the thing about, you know, going to the theater is you're watching beautiful actors tell another author's story. But when you go into a nightclub, when you go into, you know, a cabaret room, that person there has autonomy. That person performing is telling their story.
It's their story, right?
Yeah. Even if it's a nightclub act where somebody is performing a story about Charlie Chaplin, it is the story about how Chaplin affects them.
Right, exactly. I think that's one of the reasons why, with the many roles I've had, you know, on camera, on air, behind the scenes, I love being a host, a presenter, personality, a host, because people have said, well, you know, you've done acting, you've done these different things over the years. Why do you love being a host? I said, because it's my favorite role. My favorite role to play in life is the role of Jim Masters, me. So I've done news anchoring, news reporting. I've done all these different things. But in that case, I can't really add the essence of who I am necessarily in that report of that particular event, and some other scenarios as well. But with hosting, it's all me. And the essence of me connecting with an audience, whether it's stage, whether it's television, whether it's radio, whether it's digital media like this. And that just, I have such enthusiasm and such respect for those who came before me, who set the stage. Some of the other veteran, you know, broadcasters and hosts and people who just really did it, you know, the Johnny Carsons, the Dick Clarks, all these different people over the years who just really, the Dick Cavett's, I mean, the people just went out there and did it. And sort of created it even in its infancy. It brings me just such great blessing and joy. And I know it does you as well, because we are communicators, we're communal, and we really have this strong desire. And Karen Mason and I last night were talking about this. We have such a passion and desire to want to reach out to people and touch them in incredible ways that lift them up and inspire them and entertain, inform, educate, but leave an impactful impression on them that gets them to think maybe a little bit differently about their day or about the world, and in a way that then they are so moved by that work, they then pay that forward to other people. It's what it's all about, right, Stephen?
Yes, I absolutely agree. And the pay it forward thing is really, really important right now.
Yes.
we have to, we must all care for one another. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of people out there that aren't. And that's why those of us who are caring for one another have to sometimes do a little double duty.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Well, as I said, I'm a Libra, so we're about balance and harmony. And boy, are we having a workout right now, Libras, trying to balance and make this harmonious when there's all this this side and that side and divisiveness. And we've been talking about that. I've mentioned multiple times on this series that I think we were social distancing before we actually had to social distance, because everybody had their heads stuck in their cell phones and everybody was just on social media, and there was road rage and shootings and yelling and screaming, and everybody was always saying, where's all the nice people? Where's the empathetic? What happened to the good people? Everybody was saying that, but nothing was changing. And now I think we've had this meeting of Mother Nature and the earth and maybe even the divine coming together to say, you know what, I'm fed up. I gave you humans this beautiful planet, this wonderful opportunity to live and come together. And you guys you're just screwing it all up. You're at each other's throats. It's divisiveness. There's arguing. There's killing. That's just all this stuff. Stop. We're going to throw in a pandemic. We're going to throw in economic. We're going to make things, rough. And it's going to be civil unrest. There's going to be all these things. Let's see how you come out of it. And I think we do have a really wonderful opportunity in this reset that we're in to rise out of these ashes, not going back to normal, because normal wasn't so great, maybe attaining better.
A lot of what's happening now, this is my opinion. This is not the opinion of the Gym Masters live show. My opinion, and a lot of people are going to disagree with me. I think that a lot of what's happening right now is Mother Nature saying, you think you can mess with me. You know, we've got fires, we've got tsunamis, we've got earthquakes, we've got murder hornets,
locusts, and all this stuff, and hurricanes and tornadoes bigger than ever. And
This is Mother Nature saying, I was here before you, and I'll take you out if I have to.
Oh, I agree. No, the Jim Masters show and George Burns concurs. I mean, he agrees as well. We all agree that is exactly, I think all of these energies came together to say, look, you're going in the wrong direction, and we need to find some way. We've thrown hurricanes at you and tornadoes and fires and floods, and it's not registering. Now let's do something global. And here we go. So, there's many ways that we can come out of this, and hopefully we come out of it unified and together. I mean, there's been significant loss and sadness, and every day when we turn on the breaking news constantly, there's negative scenarios that we hear. But this is where the arts really are needed to be supported more than ever. All the work that all of us do, because it's always been a place, whether it's television shows, whether it's movies, music, whether it's books we're reading, creative writing, sculpture, pottery, gardening is also. I'm a gardener on the side. Gardening is therapeutic. Whatever that is, that's considered an art in its way. It's needed now more than ever, because it's always been an escape for people. It's always been a healing place for people. It's always been a go-to place for people to sort of balance out the realities of life. And that's why I think now more than ever, all of this work is really needed and should be supported, because without it all, because there were cutbacks happening even before all of this happened, starting in March or February. So I think it's now more than ever that people watch, support, tune in, whatever it takes to, because if it ever goes away, boy, is it going to be a dry, cold, dull, lifeless world, huh?
Yeah. I know that a lot of artists are hurting right now.
Yes.
And, I've been out there signing the petitions and trying to get their with the assistance. I can't remember what it's called.
Stimulus?
Yes, thank you. I write for a living, by the way. It's important for the.
You think it, I say it.
We're simpatico that way.
That's right.
But we have to do what we can, on a personal level and on a government level. We have to, petition for assistance. But also, when you have a couple extra dollars, you can tip that artist whose show you're watching, or you can give to that crowdfunding campaign. A couple dollars here makes all the difference in the world.
Mm-hmm. Right. What are some of the things you're doing to get through all of this right now? How are you being creative, and how are you, moving forward as from day to day, things change. When we think we're taking a step forward, then we take two back. And then, this is really an unusual time that we're in. What are some of the things you're doing to stay creative?
I have not had an issue since we went into lockdown, because I have continued to write. I've continued to work for Broadway World, and my job at the gym, I continue to work for the gym. I do online coaching, and I do Zoom exercise classes. So I don't have the same issues that a lot of other people have. And Pat, he's in here doing voiceovers every day.
Right.
So what we do is what we had to do, since we're working from home, is to have a kind of a schedule to know that we're going to meditate at this time and at this time, and we're going to do yoga at this time and at this time, and you're going to record from this time, and I'm going to scan negative. So, we have a routine, and it's working for us, and it has helped us to maintain our sanity. But what we absolutely refuse to do is leave the house.
At all? So do you go to the pharmacy or the food store just quickly in and out, or have things delivered?
On the weekends.
Yeah.
We make sure that we are there when they unlock the door. We get in, we get our stuff, and then we get home. There are times during the week when randomly we have to run out for something, and we do as safely as possible. But dude, we both agree. We are two men in our middle 50s who made it through the AIDS crisis. We are not going to get taken out by an airborne virus.
Mm-hmm. So you won't go to any public parks, places, or where there's people congregating?
No.
Yeah.
And the good news is that we still, I think we've been together for 33 years, 34 years. We still like each other, and we still enjoy each other's, conversation. So no, we're fine.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's exactly right. Thankful for gardening and my pets, Zoom happy hours. I'm a Libra too. I'm a pepper. You're a pepper. I'm a Libra. You're a Libra. And an awesome show, and hearts, and love this so much. Very moving footage about your mom. You can feel the love through the screen, the words, go mama. Wonderful comments and so much more. When you look at all of your body of work, as we get ready to wrap, Stephen, what are some of the things that continue to bring you the greatest blessing and joy, that when you wake up every day, you still have that excitement for what you're doing every day, as we touch the lives of others and share in their excitement and their triumphs as well?
Well, I'll tell you, I never loved anything as much as I loved photography. And so I was afraid when I retired that I would feel, an empty hole. The work that I do at Broadway World has given me a renewed sense of purpose, because I feel like I'm getting to do something for the artistic community. And the work that I do as a fitness trainer is incredibly rewarding, because I work with people who are recovering from injuries, or from people who are getting a little older and looking for ways to stay fit. And I also do Reiki. And so I'm helping, on one side, I'm helping people be healthy. And on the other side, I'm helping people's careers be healthy. And I think that that's what I really have always wanted to do, is just be of assistance, to be of some help. And so I think that I'm one of the lucky ones. And I hope that when we get back to some new kind of normal, the work is still going to present itself, so that I can keep helping people, because that's what keeps me going.
That's right. That's what it's all about. Absolutely. Stephen, this was a joy to have you on the show. Thanks for sharing so much of your life and your career with us. And again, we are simpatico in many ways, kindred spirits in the way we look at life and the way we seem to think about the way people should be in terms of communal and respectful and empathetic, high-level empaths for sure, and creative whenever possible, and connecting, because we are all in this journey together of life, and it's very important to be able to inspire people when you can, help lift them up. I try to do that in all my professional work. I try to do it with this show as well, and you do it through your work. So it was really a joy to go through all of the photos and the videos, to see your mom and see all these wonderful comments from all of our viewers from around the world. Your mom we captured. My mom wished you a happy birthday. We raise a glass to you again from all of us here. Happiest of birthdays to you.
I want to say I'm so proud that you asked me, because I've been watching your shows, because you interviewed Marie Ann and Michelle Browerman and Austin. And you bring such positivity to what you do. And it's such a joy to watch you work. So when Ralph emailed me and said, would you like to do the Jim Master Show? I hesitated, because you're not going to believe this, but it's completely true. I'm really very shy. And I don't do on camera. But Ralph said, would you do the Jim Master Show? And I said, can I think about it? Do you know when you want to do it? He said, July 8th. And I said, on my birthday, yes, I'll do it. So thank you for asking.
Oh, it is my pleasure. It is my pleasure. And I'm glad that you accepted the offer, and we toast to you.
Thank
Clang.
you. Clang.
And you're always welcome back, my friend. And hopefully we'll be all together breaking bread soon somewhere at a restaurant, wherever it is, and catching up on everything once we're able to do all of those kinds of things. It'd be great to do that, Stephen. And I'm glad that you spent this amount of time with us. And I certainly hope you enjoyed the time as much as I enjoyed having you on with me.
I had a wonderful time. Thank you so much.
You are very, very welcome. You take care. Thanks for everything. Thanks for Pat for letting you use that voiceover booth. That's it. The Love Boat on ABC. Right, exactly. I'm speaking his language now. And we appreciate you being with us again. Blessings to you both. And I'm sure we'll be chatting again soon. And thanks for a fun night tonight on the show.
Great time.
Spread the word.
I will.
I appreciate that. Everybody's telling everybody that they seem to really enjoy. They're all telling each other. And that moves my heart as well to hear those comments. A couple more quick ones coming in before we let you go. Happy birthday, dear Stephen, from John Buccino, who's going to be a guest soon. I miss our game nights.
I will be watching.
Interesting and talented guy. Have a wonderful rest of your night. Stephen, big hugs to you, Uncle Pat. Sending so much love. Jim, great show. Thank you for spotlighting one of my favorite people in the world. Very interesting interview. Thank you, Stephen, and enjoy the rest of your birthday. A toast coming in as well. All kinds of great comments here. Stephen, again, happiest of birthdays to you from all of us. George wishes you well. Can't go wrong with George Burns, right? And all the cast of characters here. You have a wonderful rest of your night, and we'll chat again soon, okay?
Thank you again.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Great guest, Stephen Mosher. Again, he's with BroadwayWorld.com. He is their cabaret editor. He's a celebrity photographer. He's been doing that for years. Great shots we shared with you, too, as well. And he's also a trainer, too, a physical personal trainer. Really cool. And we have great guests like that. And I hope you enjoyed our conversation together. And he's really a cool guy, and glad to have him here on the show, and we appreciate that. Tomorrow night, Renee Katz is going to be joining us here. She's another brilliant performer. We're going to have a great conversation. She also has a very moving and impactful, beautiful story that she's going to be sharing with us here on the show, and that's going to move you greatly, and we really appreciate her coming on tomorrow night. And then on Friday, I know this show gets archived on YouTube, so sometimes when people watch it on YouTube, you know, some of these guests have already appeared, but on Friday. Ann Hampton Calloway is going to be our guest here exclusively on the show. Isn't that exciting? Just want to show you a couple more cool people that are going to be joining us. Do you remember Toy Story? A Toy Story with Jackie Gleason and Richard Pryor? Yep. Do you also remember the kid who was in that, the rich kid who was Jackie Gleason's son? Do you also remember A Christmas Story? Remember the kid that got his tongue stuck on the pole? Scott Schwartz, the actor, he's going to be joining us here on the show in coming weeks. Sean Kanan, who played AJ Quartermain on General Hospital and is working on some cool projects now. Great actor, California. He's going to be joining us as well. Cindy Williams, who played, of course, Shirley Feeney. Laverne and Shirley is going to be joining us here on the show in coming weeks. Sean Wiley from Under the Street Lamp is going to be joining us as well. I've interviewed him multiple times on public television. Brilliant dancer, choreographer, singer. He's going to be joining us as well. Rita Cosby, veteran television network news anchor and reporter, is going to be joining us here on the show as well. And of course, we always thank our wonderful friends at LMG as well for all of their wonderful support. Lampkin Music Group, we love them and we thank them very much for their constant faithfulness and loyalty to our show. We really, really appreciate that very, very, very much. LMG, good people, Raph and the team. Thank you very much. We love you. So we're going to wrap up another extended episode of our show here. And it's always a privilege and a pleasure to have you here. Just remind you of a couple of quick things that we do here on the show at the end. We always say I might be the star and the host of the show, gang, and the producer, but you guys are the real stars. That's right. You and you, all around the world, you are the stars of the show. And we thank you for your time. We thank you for watching the show as much as you do. Spread the word, love, share some love, subscribe to the YouTube channel at Jim Masters TV, share it with your friends. We're here every night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Don't forget to relax, to breathe from the diaphragm, love one another, be good to one another, and be good to yourself. That's what it's all about. Relax and breathe through the good times and the tough times. It's really important to do that. So we do this at the end of every show. We show you that you are the star of the show along with me, and to relax, to breathe, and love one another. That's so vitally important. And again, great guests coming up. Chloe Agnew from Celtic Woman, who I've interviewed multiple times on public television. She's going to be with us on Saturday night as well. So we've got some great guests. And even when we don't have guests, we have a lot of wonderful times together. So hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Another comment coming in, another great show. Good night, all. Thank you, Renee, in beautiful Iowa, USA. And thanks to everybody for watching tonight. We will be back tomorrow night. Renee Katz is our very special guest. You're going to love her. And again, she's got a very moving story that she's going to be sharing with us as well. Just looking at all these wonderful comments that are still coming in. Thanks, gang. You guys are the best. We appreciate you being with us from all around the world here on the Jim Masters Show Live, entertainment lifestyle talk show series where light, levity, and love, or as we call it, levity, reigns supreme. You guys have a good night. I toast to all of you. We always do this. You and you and you and you and you from around the world. We toast you. And again, thanks to our wonderful guest tonight, Stephen Mosher, and we wish him a very happy birthday as well. Good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. I'll be here. I hope you are too on the Jim Masters Show Live. Take care. Bye-bye.